Or you can order via our call centre, which is 0800 001 4433.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live
Hello, good morning to you. Welcome along to Sewing Street this Sunday morning. My name's Debbie and I'm going to be with you for the next 4 hours. Well, not for all of those 4 hours, because a couple of those hours, Becky Alexander Frost has made a couple of videos for us as well. So we're going to have demonstrations in bag making coming up later on. I can't find you on Facebook at the moment, so that's my problem. So we'll have a few hellos later on. Have you got a cuppa? You're still in bed? That's all right. There's lots of you in bed on a Sunday morning. I was in bed myself until about 5 minutes ago. So what have you been up to all week? Have you got some new sewing projects? Have you bought something, received it and sewn it up already? Then I'd love to see your pictures. So if you want to come and be part of the show this morning, you've got two options. You can come through to our Facebook page. Now, when you go to Sewing Street TV, you'll see a live video there in a bit. And I'm there, so all of the comments underneath I'll be able to see throughout the show. So that's Sewing Street TV on Facebook, not the fans page, it's this one. And if you want to drop us an email, any questions you like, then come and let me know. I shall endeavour to answer them. Or if you just want to say hello, good morning, let us know what your weather's like and what you're up to this Sunday. Be nice to hear from you too. And that's studio@sewingstreet.com. Now, because you're here nice and early with us at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, we have a special offer for you. And it's one of my favourite things. Friction pens. Now, these are heat erasable pens, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, they're not designed for fabric, but they work really well. So always do a little test first of all. I use friction pens in seam allowances, so I wouldn't use these to mark things like a dart in a dress or something like that, because sometimes they can stain the fabric or they can bleach the fabric. And I wouldn't use these in anywhere where I can see the ink if I'm going at, somewhere that's less than minus 12 degrees or something. I can't remember what state of frozen you have to be in where the ink reappears. But if you want a quick mark, if you're transferring markings from a pattern, if you've got any of the dots and the little triangle shapes in seam allowances that you want to mark, if you're quilting, then again do a little bit of a patch test first of all. And if you haven't seen them before, this is the way that they work. So if you're making your markings, so you're making your dots, or you're making crosses, or you're drawing a dashed line, or whatever kind of markings you need, if you're doing a little bit of free motion embroidery, and you want to draw the design first of all, then these are going to be absolutely perfect for you. If you're drawing on paper, then these have like a little eraser on the end of them. So you can give it a rub. It's not so good on the fabric, but you can give that a rub, and it's the heat from the friction of the rubber on the end that takes away the ink. Otherwise, you can simply take your iron and give it a waft. And it's all gone. Now I can see very, very faintly the mark that was there before. If I'm stitching over the top, then that's not going to be noticeable at all. I don't know if you can even see that at home, but that's just being honest with you. And this is still warm, so if I try and draw on it now, the ink's going to disappear all by itself. Now be warned as well that if you're making any kind of markings and you leave your work in the sunshine, the heat from the sun can also make it disappear, which is sometimes a good thing. A lot of the time that's a bad thing. And I wouldn't use this for anything that I'm hand sewing. So I've actually got some smocking with me this morning, and I wouldn't use these for the grids on the smocking, because when this goes through your hands, the heat from your hands can make the ink disappear. But if you're drawing out patterns, these are perfect, because you can draw them on your paper, and if you make any mistakes, just give it a rub or wash the iron over it and it'll disappear. If you're marking on any kind of textural fabric that you can't or you don't want to flatten with an iron, then just give it a blast of steam, and the steam, it's hot, so it again is going to take away the ink. And they're quite fine nibs, so if you are transferring markings, then it's not like using a big thick felt pen. So 4 colours you've got here. The red, the blue, the green, and the black. There's the green one. So draw on your fabric, transfer your markings, and then simply look at that. Oh. Oh, we've got morning messages coming up. Morning to everybody. Are we on Facebook yet? I'm on the wrong page then, aren't I? Because I can't see anybody. Oh, there we are. I've got you. Lovely. We've got 94 of you already. We are up bright and early this morning. Morning, Morag. Morag's, oh, hang on, you've gone. Oh, I'm rubbish at this. Where's your messages gone? Right. Oh, there's loads of you. Morning, Suzanne. Oh, Alan's up nice and early. He's been making bags again. Leanne can't view on YouTube. No idea. Working on it. Morning, Jen. And Louise says, morning, Debbie and team. The team this morning is Hannah producing and Paul directing. It's glorious in Dublin. It's quite nice here, actually. It's warm and windy. Morning, Julia. Morning, Pollyanna. Jenny says, what's on the menu today? I've got the felting machine in just a second, Jen. Have a word with your Alex. And then we've got bag making with Becky in the next hour. And then the next hour, we have a poppy panel. And then the next one, it's these bags behind me, actually. So those are the bags in the 11 o'clock show. And these are the bags in the 10 o'clock show. Morning, Diane. Morag's making Christmas presents. Morning, Mandy. Morning, Maria. Morning, Mariad. Mariad, is that how you pronounce it? It doesn't come back when it cools down unless it goes beyond below freezing. I can't remember the temperature, but no, the pens don't come back again. Gabriel, morning to you, and Nikki and Bernardin Padragan Rocher. Very, very glamorous. I bet you've got frou-frou slippers. Morning, Glenys and Nikki and Lorraine and Anne. Oh, we're busy this morning. And Sue and Helen. Another friction tip, don't leave things marked for too long. Oh, okay, that's a good one. Because they can bleach the fabric. I don't want to say too many negative things about friction pens because I love them. I just want you to be aware. So I wouldn't want you to get these home and mark your fabric and then you've got a white line and your fabric's green and you weren't expecting it. But they are really, really useful. Have them anyway. Morning, Lavinia. Oh, Jenny, love you too. Oh, Bernard. Oh, you're going to have to phonetically spell your name. I'm going to call you Bernie because I'm going to get that wrong. Loves her embellisher. Lorraine's sunny. Linda's up with the early birds. So I've sent you away again. Yeah, come and send me a message, send your pictures in, it'd be lovely to hear from you. Anything that you do want to order, you can order on the website. Got a new website, so it looks quite similar to the previous one, whereas we have the live, so you'll be able to watch live there, and then all of the products are underneath it that we have for you in the show. And I was going to tell you something else. You know, sometimes when you start talking and you've no idea where the sentence is going to end. That just happened. Should we take a look at what's coming up? This is what we have. You're watching, Jen. At 8 o'clock, sewing machines and threads. 8 o'clock, we've got the embellishing machine. And then at 9 o'clock, the Ready for Anything bag with Becky Alexander Frost. She's not here in the studio. She's made a video for us, so these are really nice bags as well, really well made. And we've put kits together for you that's even got the hardware included too. So you can get ahead of the game if you want to. Have a look online. The Remembrance Sunday panel is at 10 o'clock this morning, and at 11 o'clock it's the Craft Bucket bag. And again, Becky's made a video for us for that one. And then we're not live at 12 o'clock noon, but Mairead. But we do have more sewing for you there. So, Mairead Quinn. That's a lovely name. I would never have pronounced that right, Mairead. Oh, Julia. Julia's in Colville. Morning, Debbie. Raining in Dagenham. Morning, Diana. Oh, torrential rain overnight. Oh, thunder and lightning. And Spaniel's trying to get hugs. We went very grey last night, but we didn't get the thunder and lightning. Right, so let's see how many cold coffees we can get through today. So this is going to be one. So, have you seen an embellishing machine before? It's a way, basically, looks a little bit like a sewing machine. Let me just take this off and show you. and I'll put the accessory compartment on because that's what it's going to be like when you get it home. So it looks like a sewing machine, but it's nothing like a sewing machine. So you'll see there's nowhere to thread it. In fact, there's no thread involved in this at all. What it'll do when you put your foot on the pedal, just like a sewing machine, is to bounce these little needles up and down at a great rate of knots. And the needles don't have eyes in them for thread. They're barbed, which means that they're very sharp on the point, but they've kind of got little chips out of them. So they're sharp all the way down the shaft of the needle as well. And when it goes through the fabric, they mash the fabric together. They felt it, basically. And it's like very tiny tears in the fabric that kind of knits it together. They're loads of fun to use. And you're never going to be able to create something twice. So every piece of work that you create is going to be unique and original. It's impossible to do it twice. It's like painting. There'll always be a slight difference. It's a great way of using up your scraps. And I'll show you that in just a second. And it's loads of fun. Now you can embellish onto scarves, onto knitwear, onto jackets, so onto garments that you already have if you want to. You can create some beautiful pieces of artwork. If you've ever seen any of Delphine's shows where she does the hand felting and creates scenes, you can do the same with this, but it's quicker. So if you're not very good at doing this, if your wrists don't work very well or your fingers ache, then you use your foot instead. Now, if I take that accessory compartment off briefly, there we go. Inside here, so I'm trying to do this backwards, there you go. Now you can basically see what happens. So all the machine does is push the needle up and down, and all of these bits of fluff in the bottom are what comes out of your fabric. And I don't know why they're normally brown. But you can use those again, depends what colour you're using. So all you need to do maintenance-wise is to give that a bit of a clean out. So it's a very simple machine. There's nothing to go wrong with it, basically. The needles, you will break one occasionally, so we're going to give you spare ones. Now, when you get this home, the unit that houses the needles will be rigid, so the needles are fixed in there. But we are also going to give you the unit that's on here now at the moment, where you can change the needles individually, and you're getting spare needles with it as well. So you will break them, just like with your sewing machine, but don't worry about it, you've got loads spare. Now there's a guard on the front here, so be careful of that. I'm just going to switch the machine off, and there's a nice big guard all the way around here as well. That foot is included in the accessories that you get free with this. Now, price-wise, because you're spending over £150, you can split the cost. So these are your payments, so you don't need to pay all of it straight away. So here you go, that's what you're going to pay. Over £149, you can split the cost into 3, so you can pay over 3 months. So if you're buying a larger item, this is on a single item, so if you're looking at some of the sewing machines that we have for you that are over £799, you can split that over 5 months as well. So your payment for this one, no interest or anything like that, it's really simple. Your payment for this one is £119.66 today. And we'll send it to you after the first payment. We don't make you wait until January. Now then, so have you got an embellisher already? What kind of thing you've been making? Mixed media artwork, that is perfect. Morning, Nigel. Oh, that went a bit silly. Morning, Dawn. The embellishing machine is so much fun, Dawn, honestly. Hi, Sue. Oh, God, I've done that one. This is it's the only sample I've got. This is a bag that I made, and I'm going to create something similar for you. But I love it. It's not even lined or anything. It's just made out of felt completely, and I felted the individual pieces together and then embellished over the top with roving yarn, and then I free motion embroidered over the top of that. And I just think it's very elegant. Nobody has got a bag like that. And in fact, even I've got 2, and they're not both exactly the same. When I was saying, sorry about that, about using up your bits and bobs. You know when we've done shows before with embroidery thread, and I say I must start decanting mine onto bobbins because it all gets knotty. This is what I mean. See? And that's the kind of... I hang on to them because I've got an embellisher. and one day I should get round to using them. But otherwise, this lot would be in the bin because I can't be bothered to unravel it. But it's perfect when you've got an embellisher because you can use all of this. I wouldn't use synthetics. I wouldn't use 100% polyesters, and I wouldn't use any kind of fabrics that have elastane in them or spandex or anything like that, because then they're just not going to felt very well. I've got a little bit of yarn there as well. And I was looking through my felt drawer, and I found that, because with felt, you never, oh that's handy, you never throw it away, do you? Because if I need the blue for an eye, then that's absolutely perfect. So I end up, I don't know about you, with so many scraps and bits of felt. That was a holly leaf at one point. That one was a heart. I've no idea what I made with that. But you just kind of hang on to things, don't you? These tiny little scraps, but you can felt them. So we'll have a go at that in just a second. Jane's very kindly left me some plain felt, so I can just show you how the whole thing works. So I'll put a bit of felt on felt. Felt on felt is perfect. It's just simple and easy, and felt actually felts really well, if that makes sense, because it's already felted. Let's just cut a random shape out and we'll have a bit of a play. So that goes on there. Lift the needle up into the top position. This goes underneath. I like to start right in the middle, so I'm securing my applique in effect. First of all, I'll switch the machine back on again because that always helps. And then move the fabric around. You must move the fabric. There's no feed dogs underneath here, so if you don't, you're just going to have holes in your fabric. And you just keep moving it until you have the desired effect. And again, it's not going to be a perfect shape when it's finished because I'm mashing the fibres together. And there will be a point where you felt too much. So when you can see that's nice and secure, sorry if it's a bit noisy, it probably sounds more noisy at home than it actually is here. Let's just take this off. And then when I turn it over, you can start to see the shape coming through on the reverse. And actually that's quite a nice look as well, but that's what I'm aiming for. Now if you wanted to make up some scenes, this is roving yarn, sometimes called wool tops. And the idea with this is, we don't sell it unfortunately, you'll have to have a look for it. You pull it apart, so don't cut it because you get straight lines. I'm simply going to pull a piece off and then, I can't believe I've brought my mess from home in. But then you can start making some shapes with this one. So I'll have a few different colours and just have a bit of a play. So I like to make like petal shapes, so I can twist the bottom around there and have a bit of blue on there as well. So you don't need to be artistic, you don't have to have any particular skill. Everything you do is going to be abstract. Have I got any green? Yes, I've got some greens. Let's have a little bit of green in there as well. So I'm just making a multicolour flower look. So if you have a little piece of netting, that can hold everything down, because when I start to put this underneath now, I could catch some of that yarn, and netting isn't going to felt, so it'll make holes in it. But that's a great way to just kind of get it going, just to secure the edges, and then I can take that off. And then felt. So satisfying, isn't it? And it's literally like painting with scraps. So any design you like. I've actually covered a whole cardigan once upon a time just with spots, just with balls, little balls that I've rolled up of the yarn. You can add more as well, so my orange has gone a little bit transparent, so I can pop a little bit more over the top if I wanted to. And then when I'm happy with that, I would go a little bit more. And again, it's starting to come through on the back, which is another look. So if I kept going with that, it's almost like a fuzzy out of focus kind of thing. But then I can actually cut this out and use the whole thing as a piece of applique. And then refelt it onto another piece of fabric. So I've got half a flower. Could have gone all the way around, but you know, you get the idea with that. If you're having, if you want to make some scenery, that's quite nice to do as well. To have a play. If you've got any pictures of what you've made, I'd love to see them. Morning, Pauline. She loves Sunday mornings. Me too. Morning, Leslie and Shirley. Oh yes, I had an extra hour in bed this morning, didn't we? Do you know, we're watching YouTube. Did you get up at the wrong time? Alan, as far as I know, Sewing Street don't do credit checks to your split payments. That's I'm assuming. Normally you don't. Margaret's got a coffee and toast and Sewing Street in bed. Perfect. You lot in bed on a Sunday morning, what you like. Jenny's making bags for autumn. When do I apply eau de coat? I'd apply after you finish making the bag. I think that's easier. It is a bit like free motion embroidery, Jenny. In fact, it's easier than free motion embroidery. Right, so I'm going to have a little bit of green at the front. Should we do a little bit of... Yeah, let's do a little bit of scenery like that. So that can be the grass or the hills. Lovely. It's very cloud-like. Need that to be a little bit more solid. And again, you can add more to this as you go if you wish. And then I think we'll have a blue for the sky up here. And I'm going to show some of the black felt through because I think it looks like midnight at night time. Like so. I didn't have an extra hour in bed. I worked later last night. I thought if I can carry on working for another hour and it won't count, will it? So that's what I did. So that's going to be, I'll have a bit of red in there as well. I'm going to have an angry sky on this one. Then maybe another bit of blue. Could do with a darker green, but I don't have one. But I might. Yeah, I might add a bit of something else to that. Oh, actually, Jane left me some of hers. Oh, she's got dark green in there, lovely. I'm pinching, oh no, oh yes. I'm pinching some of your wool, Jane, if you're watching. Oh, that's a stiff one. So that can go there. That's all right, isn't it? Maybe have a bit more. That'll do for now, and then I'm going to just felt it. So I'm going to go straight down the middle first of all, just so I can secure everything. So that's when you can use your mesh. And then we're just going to go up and down and round in random directions until it's all done. And then we'll have a go at piecing some felt together. And we can make a whole bag out of it if you like. I'm just going to turn my volume up a bit because Hannah's talking. I can't hear a thing with this machine. Turned it down, really. She's excited about the bag, she said. Right. So again, I'm not taking as much time as I would do if I was doing this at home. That would be well and truly felted. Doesn't matter which way you go as long as you keep moving, because again, if I don't move the fabric, it's not going to do anything. I'll just end up with a hole in it. And you don't have to go fast if you prefer. You can go slower. It is quite a fast little machine. Now you can add your embroidery thread. I could put some of that on here as well. If it's anything metallic, like your Angelina fibres, if you're using anything like that, or you've got some this sparkly stuff, that's actually plastic. Can you see that? So it's not going to felt, but you can put a little bit of the roving yarn over the top of it to hold it in place. So it still can be used. I like the way that it's quite safe as well. I can't actually touch those with my fingers. And it's a good job because they are very, very sharp. So we could actually put a little bit of sparkle in the sky, couldn't we? So if you're going to do anything like this, then take a little bit of your roving yarn and just pop it over the top to hold it down. So you can still see the sparkle. It's quite subtle actually. And then we can start doing, should we have a tree? Things like this. So we'll have a twiggy type of tree. So if I'm doing something like that, does that look tree-ish? Then I will put my mesh over the top to hold that down, if I can find it. Or while I just embellish over there. Moved. Just push that back. That's it. Take that off. So that's just acrylic yarn, like knitting yarn. So again, you're going to have a house full of scraps. You'll never throw anything away again. And I've just got that little bit of yarn there to go over. Do with joining up with that a little bit. That's it. I've got floating twigs. Go back. You can really see the sparkle. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I'm quite impressed with myself there. And what else should we have on there? Or do you think that's just going to be a nice nighttime scene? Could have been a little bit more tidy with the twigs. But I could add a few leaves if I wanted to. Should we do ribbon? Could be a cactus, couldn't it? This is silk ribbon. So I'm just having a play now. I don't know what it's going to look like. And here you go. Now some fabrics, particularly if it's a woven fabric, I'll go into all crumple up. But that's quite a nice effect, to be honest. So have a go with it. If it won't felt, then it won't felt. Oh, Adele sent a message in as well. Was that an email or was that on Facebook? Oh, it's on the chat page. Adele Burrows. Morning, Adele. And she said she's watching in bed, another one in bed. You're a lazy lot, with a coffee in hand. Good for you. And she says the felting machines are great. I used to make my own felt. Oh, wow. By blending your rovings and then made teddy bears with the fabric that she'd made. That's a lovely idea. And needle felted the face onto the heads. She says they're such versatile machines and she loves them. They are, aren't they? Julie messaged in as well and she said, much, much quicker than hand felting. It is. It's not as accurate, obviously, but it is a lot quicker. So you could combine the two if you've got hand felting needles as well. And then maybe if I want to put berries on there, if I wanted to put a bird in the sky or, you know, blades of grass or little flowers, then I'd maybe hand felt that. But have a look at the back of that as well. Do turn your work over and have a look at the back. So it creates a more kind of out of focus, fuzzy kind of look from the back. Anyway, we've got to make a bag and we're at past already, aren't we? And my coffee's cold as well. Hi, Christine. Was that a wash-away stabiliser used to hold the wool tree? No, it's a piece of net, organza. This is actually from, I think it was like tulle, that kind of thing. Stick a leaf over the floating twig. That is a good idea. I could do that. In fact, I could cut out little felt leaves instead of using the roving and make leaves out of that. That would be good. some blossom on the twigs. That's a good idea. Yeah, okay, right. Remember, if you want to have a go, you only need to pay a third of the cost right now. Because you can split pay because you're spending over £149. So this is quite new to us. So if you're new to us too, you may not realise that we now have split payments. If you spend over £149, we can split those payments over 3 months. And if you spend over £799 on one product, we can split the payments over 5 months. So your first payment will be taken off your credit or debit card now as you place your order. And the second payments and third payments will be on this day in where are we? October, November and December if you're going to go for this one. If you're going for a larger item, so have a look at sewing machines and things like that on the website, then you can split the cost all the way through to next February. And we send your product out straight away, so you don't have to wait for it. Right, I'm just going to cut out some random shapes to felt together, and I'm using triangles because I like that kind of look. And these can be any shape or size. So if you've got the tiniest bit of, I've no idea what that would have been. If you've got the tiniest bit of felt, then hang on to it because felt's perfect. You can felt or embellish any kind of woven fabric, not polyesters, and you'll have different effects with it. So if you're going to felt any kind of fabric that you're already going to make into a project, then just make sure that you felt first because the fabric will shrink. And it's never set in stone exactly how much that's going to shrink. So we don't want any surprises. Okay, so random triangles we're cutting here. Then we're going to mesh them together. We'll just make a little bag, as we'll be here all day. Right. Whoops. Another one here. So I'm just overlapping them and basically using the felt as a glue to stick them all together. I'll go over the whole area as well because it does change the texture. So I'm not just going to go over the join. You can tell when it's working because you'll start to see the felt coming through the back. But don't go over too much because eventually you will make holes in it. Another piece here. So you're making your own fabric basically. You're taking fabric which is probably going to be scraps and just transforming it into something that is unique. Nobody else has got anything quite like yours. You don't need any particular talent. You don't need to be an artist or a mixed media expert or anything like that. You just need to be able to move your hands around, whoops, and enjoy the results. Things turn out quite unexpectedly sometimes, and a lot of the time it's quite a surprise, but it's a nice surprise. That things happen when you're felting that you don't expect. And remember, you can add your bits and bobs to this as well. So if I wanted to throw in a ribbon or two, then I can do. Or some of that embroidery floss or the tiny bits of yarn that you may have. Again, as long as it's a woven and natural fibres work better, I find. So viscose, cottons, woolly fabrics work really well. So if you've got the tiny, if it's an old cardigan, chop it up. Use it as fabric. Whoops. Just overlap that one a little bit more. So, I've got another coffee. Do you know, that's such nice people here. So if you notice, I've got 2 mugs on the table. One's got a cold coffee, one's got a nice hot one now. Oh, thank you. Right, go right down to the point. See, that looks really good already, doesn't it? I love the colours as well, all these different bright colours. joining together a bit at the end. Now it's starting to get busy for this, so if you've got your embellisher in your basket, can you check out? You do have full instructions with it, and there is an instructional DVD in the instructions when you get it home. But really, it's incredibly easy to use. Right, so right, let's move over this side. Actually, I think that might be in. What do you think? Is that going to be enough for one side of a little bag? I think that's enough, isn't it? Should we add a bit of stuff? Just random stuff. So we'll have a bit of sparkle on there. I think I'll just do a panel down the centre of a bag because, again, we've only got, how long have we got? 20 minutes. So I won't have time to actually felt front, back and flap, so to speak. So we'll have a bit of that. And then I'm just going to chuck stuff at it. I'm making up my own recipe. I've got a bit of ribbon in there. Oh, do you know what that is? You know when you buy a top or a dress and you've got those loops that slip down over your shoulders, or you can see them in the neckline. Don't throw those away because they make, there's a bit of embroidery thread, because they make lovely bits and bobs for felting. What else have we got? Oh, that's nice. No, that's too big. This is like revisiting past projects. I'm getting all nostalgic now. Knitted a scarf out of that years ago, and that was a lot of years ago. A bit of black, that'd look quite striking. I haven't knitted for a long time. Not my favourite thing. Right. Oh, that looks nice. Am I getting a bit carried away? Right. Oh, and I've got some of this roving yarn that's got flecks in it, so that'll be quite nice. So I'm going to cover over the top in purple. So I can still see all the colours of the felt behind it, but I've just got a little bit of purplage going on here. And I want to make sure that's all covered, because I don't want I don't want my glittery stuff coming off. I'll put the mesh over it again only because it's so thick. When it goes underneath the foot, it's going to the foot's going to push it out the way, so that helps to keep it flat. So I find it easier as well to go fast. It's got a foot pedal like a sewing machine, so you can go slowly, but I find it easier when it's quicker. This is so relaxing, and you don't have to be accurate with it. You can be left and right and up and down and all over the place. It's one of those kind of mindless projects. I'm not worried about seam allowances or patterns or measuring or anything. I'm just chucking stuff at it and scribbling over the top basically with the needles. Make sure that all of those embroidery threads are well and truly felted. Again, just keep it moving. I need to do that bit. And when you've got more time at home, you can keep double checking the back of it and just make sure that all of the pieces are mashed together. So again, if you just joined us, it's not a sewing machine. This is a felting machine or an embellishing machine. And it's working with 5 needles that are barbed, so there's no eyes at the needle, there's no thread to go through them. They're scratchy needles all the way up the shaft, and they're literally mashing the fibres of the fabric and the yarn together to create another piece of fabric. So no two are going to be the same. It's loads of, oh, that's come off there, look. It's loads of fun. No right and wrong. You can just get creative without any particular skill whatsoever. So I'll just turn that over and show you from the back. That's how it's looking here. So you can start to see the embroidery thread coming through. That means that it's well and truly stuck in there. So that's from the back. Don't like the back of that at all. But I think that is looking really, really snazzy. Right, should we do something with it? Oh, right. So I'm going to move that. Oh, I'm going to lift the sewing machine up. So bear with me. I love this huge studio. Oh, so have a look at the split pay as well, because if you are thinking of buying it, you don't have to fork out all of that all in one go. You can split the payment over 3 months now, because you're spending over £149. Now then, I'm going to get I just need to plug my sewing machine in. Oh, there we go. The 550 sewing machine that I'm going to be using, you can use split pay on this one as well. So you can go for the machine and the embellisher and only pay a third of the cost today. Right, now then. Oh, look at the mess in here. I can't believe I brought all of this from home. So that'll give somebody a job to do. Right. Let's cut this up. So, details on your screen. Over here is the embellisher. I've got that right because I can't see a thing. And over here is the sewing machine. Now I'm going to cut this down, and it'll look like a proper piece of fabric then, with a rotary cutter. And these little bits that I'm cutting off, I'm not going to waste, because I can refelt them at a later date. So get as much of that as I can in here. So I've got that. Oops, I'll trim the sides down as well. Things also look a little bit better when you trim off the tatty bits around the edge. So now I've got a panel that can go, so all of that can be refelted. I've got a rather large bag down there, just full of bits of rubbish. I tend to, should we go green or pink? Pink. I don't know about you, but I go through phases, and once the embellishing machine comes out, it tends to stay out for quite a while, because it's very easy to get hooked. Then everything gets felted. So I'll need a couple of pieces of fabric here. Let's cut that selvage off. We don't want you. Get off. You'll never throw a selvage away again, because you can felt them. And then we'll have a couple of strips of fabric. We'll do that there. So we can do that. There we go. So that's that. And that's going to go either side as that. And I think we'll have oh, this is a bit wasteful. I'm making this up as I go, so bear with me. Refelt. And then these are going to go right sides together. Are you taking the embellishing machine? Yes. Are you going to put it on the other set?
Yeah, it's Mouse doing it seamlessly.
Okay. I think people at home might have seen you anyway. Thank you. You don't have to crawl now because you're on the telly. Do you want this as well? There you go. There you go. Disinfect it. I've touched it. I love working here. Right, so I'm just going to sew these pieces together if I can find the right foot pedal. There's going to be such an argument in the gallery in just a second. I have a feeling, Paul, you're going to be bruised somewhat. Your life is over. That's it now. And that's going to be on Facebook forever. Yeah, you can start thinking of your captions now if you like. So last time she's going to do that. Right, let's chop that up. I'll trim that down in a second. I'm going to have a wide bit at the bottom and we'll sew that down. They're having a dispute now. Right, sew that. Oh, Sharon likes my jacket, thank you. I have to say it's rather warm. Hi, Jean. Oh, Jean's making it. It's out of my book. Oh, Jean's making monkeys. That'll be the Monkey Skittles out of my half-yard kids book for a son, for a grandson. Sorry. Oh, thought it might be for a son. Skittles are for any age. Let's just chop that down a bit. That's better. I think the top a little bit narrower would make it look a bit more balanced personally. All these bits you can refelt, remember. Oh, that's quite sweet, doesn't it? I'm going to top stitch down each side just to hold that flat and to make it look a little bit neater. So we'll have a longer stitch there. I'll just sew down the side of the seam. Make a nice makeup bag actually, but I haven't got a zip with me. So I'm just thinking what I can do. And there you go. There we go. So I've got a nice little panel there. It's not quite square, that's going to bug me. So let's tidy this up. That's better. Oh, do you know what would look lovely? If you're making a quilt, wouldn't they make fantastic blocks? Just felted little bits. The So Crazy Crew. Looks gorgeous with the pink, says Christine. Thank you. Well, it's like that, Helen and Jean, on a Sunday morning. And Lorraine and Jenny. Mind you, we've got management watching from home, so we've got to be on our best behaviour today. No, we don't, because they're at home, aren't they? Right. So we need to make a back for this bag, and we'll need some lining for it. Does need a zip, doesn't it? Let me just see. Just bear with me. I'll see if I've got a zip. Might have a zip. Seem to have everything else. I've got an invisible zip. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Perfect. Right, so I'm just going to make a couple of ends for that zip because it's not quite long enough to go across the top of my bag, and I don't like stops. So I'm just going to pop a piece of fabric on each end. Need a bit more than that. So my zip could be a little bit longer for this. I know those are too long, but I'll chop them down afterwards. So I'm just sandwiching the zip in between two little pieces of fabric. And so we might not get a chance to finish this, but you'll get the idea. And then press that back. So I've got a zip with a tail on the end. And then I'll do the same with this end. Shan't avoid the stops there. I don't like the stops. I don't like the bits of metal because I'm very wary of hitting them with the needle. So I'll get that out of the way there. So we've got that. And then I'll need to cut another few pieces of fabric from here for the lining and stuff. I'll just do the outer bit for now though. So that's that. That's that. Right. Just to let you know that that embellisher, when you go through and check out of your baskets, half of the stock sold out. So if you're going to order it, just go. Gone? Good, okay. That's going to go in the middle here. And I'm lining up the edge of the zip with the edge of the fabric. I'm not worried about these being too long because I'm going to chop them off in just a minute. I'm not going to put the zipper foot on the sewing machine because I haven't got time. But I can move the needle over so I can get it closer to the teeth. Oh, that'll do. Oh, knew that had happened. Ran out of bobbin thread. Let me just thread up another bobbin with, I'll just use that. Oh, just bear with me. You know, if you come out of the gallery, Hannah, you're going to get caught on camera. She's just going to put some makeup on. That'll do, we only need a bit. Right. So I should choose the right stitch this time and move the needle over. So the zip's facing down, so the slider bit is facing the fabric. I'll just make the outside of the bag. I'll explain how to line because I'd never make a bag that doesn't have a lining normally. But I just want you to see what it's going to look like. And you can add just a little panel like that to anything. I'm just moving that slider out of the way so I can still sew in a straight line. There you go. So imagine if you're making a tote bag with just a panel like that. And, you know, not just bag making. What about making a waistcoat or pockets? Just a little, I've got a pocket, but just a little embellishment like that across the flap of a pocket I think will look really nice. Or just a collar would look lovely. So, you know, have a think. And like I said before, with the embellisher, you can embellish things that you already have, particularly scarves. Oh, you know when I did like the flower shape? Imagine you've got a long scarf and it's plain. It could be a fleece scarf. They felt really, really well. And you could just put some flowers on the end of it. Nobody else is going to have a scarf like that. And I think with the roving yarn, flowers particularly look really lovely because you can just create some lovely petals with them. Petals and leaves. And again, they don't have to be perfect because they're not perfect in nature after all. Let's move that slider out of the way again. And carry on. But if you've got lots of scraps and you don't know what to do with them, this is a great way of making use of them. Why not use your scraps to make new fabric with? Because that, in effect, is what you're doing. You're creating a brand new fabric. You're your own fabric designer. Let's just trim that back. So I've got that. Now, I'd line it. So your lining pieces are going to go on the opposite side of the zip. Like that. So the zip's trapped in between the outer and the lining pieces. I'm not going to line this one because I just want to finish it and show you what it'll look like. What I would also do is put some something like H640 on the back of it, make it a little bit more substantial. Shall I sew around the zip? What time is it? No. When you put the lining on, sew around the zip here, all the way around in a box, and that'll help to keep the lining from getting caught in the zip, and it'll look nice and neat as well. But I'm not going to because I haven't got any time. So when you do this bit, sew it with the zip open. Actually, you won't be able to turn it the right side out. It's not the end of the world. You can kind of manoeuvre around and find the zip through the fabric. It's just not the easiest thing. So that does look quite nice from the back now I'm looking at it again. bottom. Just line those pieces up. But you can do some beautiful landscapes with it as well. And just like with Delphine's hand felting, if you wanted to add some French knots and embroidery over the top, it's fine. And Delphine always says that things are so much better when they're in a mount, when they're in a little frame. And you can create some really lovely works of art, even if it's just abstractly throwing down scraps of fabric. Once it's in a frame, it really finishes it off. Right, I'm just going to square the base really quickly. This is the quickest unfinished bag. So I'm pinching the side seam so that it's sitting over the top of the base seam and so straight across the corners. I'd normally chop that off. Remember, with your embellisher, it's not a sewing machine. It's not going to replace a sewing machine. It's nothing like, it looks like a sewing machine. That's the one over here. But it doesn't behave like a sewing machine. So if you wanted to make anything like this, oh, that broke just at the right time. You'll need the sewing machine as well. Let's just turn this the right side out and you'll get the idea. Brush that out. Brush that out. And there's my little bag. Again, would be lined. Would have fusible fleece on the back of it. But isn't that striking? And who would have thought, if you're going to give this to somebody for a Christmas present, and you say, yeah, I made it. Oh, where did you buy that lovely felted fabric? Oh, I made that as well. I actually made my own fabric. But remember, you can make your own fabric. This one was created purely from felt. The felt triangles, just like I did with this one, but all in rusty colours. Then there's my Angelina fibres and some roving yarn to hold it down. I cut out the shape from a piece of felt as backing, and then free motion embroidered all over it. And then all I've done here is to sew the sides up. So it was one big long oblong, fold the bottom up. You could even felt the sides of it. And then I put a magnetic snap on it. So I could have made another bag. So quite nice, that, isn't it? I could have made another bag entirely from felted fabric, but I like the contrast of textures when you have fabric with, imagine that if it was satin. That would make such a special evening bag, wouldn't it? But one long strip around the top of a bag. With the bags that we've got coming up in the next hour, actually, you could have felted some applique onto the bag flap. So again, maybe using some of your roving yarn to make floral designs with it would be a really nice idea. Oh, funky, Jenny says it is. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Sue. Jennifer sent a question in. Hi, Jennifer. Would tweed, oh yeah, I don't have tweed with me, but I have got a tweedy type of fabric. Harry's tweed would be absolutely perfect to use with your This isn't tweed, but it's tweedy. That's a little bit more tweedy. Oh, it's over there, isn't it? Yes, tweed, I was going to try felting it on the sewing machine. Tweed would work really, really well. That's a perfect type of fabric. And you could actually felt that onto cotton or onto more tweed. That would work really well. That's a really nice idea. Oh, Catherine's going into work in a bit. She's a bit early and the shop is still in darkness. Bright and beautiful, says Sandra. Thank you. It is, isn't it? But again, you can do classic, you could do black and white, you could do monochrome. Depends what you've got in your stash, really, doesn't it? So you've got a really great price of £359. A whole new technique for you, maybe something that you haven't done before. Maybe you're a quilter or a dressmaker and you just want to have a go at something different. This is a technique that you can incorporate into your dressmaking and into your quilting. Love to see a quilt made out of that. Wouldn't it be soft and woolly and warm? Or just the centre of a block, put a border around each one of the blocks and you could in really bright colours. Oh, that'd look amazing. Or maybe a baby quilt or a wall hanging. Or you could have little scenes. So I'm getting quite carried away with this. You could have little scenes in each one of the blocks and then put a really nice border around it. Or maybe it could be a memory type of thing. So if you've got some baby clothes or shirts or things like that. As long as they're not polyester, that doesn't, or things with elastic and don't work too well. But you could then put together little patches of that clothing and then put borders around it, and it's a nice memory, isn't it? Oh, there's loads that you can do with it. I think I'll let Becky know that she's not doing the next hour, and I want to just carry on felting. It's been really, really busy for this, by the way, for the embellisher. Remember, you've only got to pay a third today if you wish. You can pay for it all in one go if you want to. But the first payment's going to be taken out of your account right now when you place your order of £119.66. That's all you need to pay today. And we'll still get this to you. It's an Elna or Janome, so they'll be sending this out to you. An interest repayment of £119.66. They'll send it out to you pronto, and then your second payment will be this date in November, and then the next one, what date are we on now? Are we? It's on the 25th, so I'm not sure whether your third payment will be just before or just after Christmas. But thereabouts. I don't think it's going to come out on Christmas Day. A memory teddy would be a nice idea as well. And Linda, and remember you can use different fabrics together and different techniques together. So you can free motion embroidery over the top. You can do a little bit of hand embroidery over the top if you like. So maybe some daisy chain flowers or French knots or something like that. Oh, I'm quite sad that we've got to move on to the next hour. I might procrastinate and just, should we not go to a break? Can we carry on felting? Oh, Jennifer's message back again. And, oh, she's just bought the machine. She's going to get Tweedies, Jennifer. Everyone's going to get an embellished Christmas card. Amazing, because you can embellish tiny little bits and then put them in an aperture card. That would look fantastic, and everybody's card is going to be a little bit different. Oh, that's fantastic. Right, I've got to go. We will be back again in a couple of minutes' time, and we've got a video that Becky Alexander Frost has made for us as well. So I better clear up my mess, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw, and as a professional sewer, I really know how important it is to use a high quality thread. Well, you think about it. You spend a lot of money on your sewing machine, you'll spend a lot of money on fabric, and you'll spend a lot of time sewing. So why let your thread let you down? I know a lot of our designers and customers prefer to use Aurifil thread. Now, this is a family business. It was established in 1983 and they're based just outside Milan in Italy. They produce superior quality threads for domestic and professional sewers alike, and they've achieved worldwide success with quilters, sewers, embroiderers and textile artists who all appreciate the versatility and the strength of these threads. It's all made from Egyptian cotton, which is grown just at the side of the River Nile, and Aurifil only use the long staple threads, which gives their thread that strength. Each one of these threads goes through 15 steps before it even gets onto a spool and then comes to you to use in your sewing projects. Now at Sewing Street, we've collaborated with Aurifil and we've brought you two collections of threads. So we have the Quilters collection, and these are exclusive to Sewing Street. We've done a lot of research with quilters, and these are the colours that you prefer to use. So we put a whole collection together for you. The second collection is the Essential collection. So this is for the homemakers, for the bag makers, for the craft sewers, for the dressmakers, and again these have been proven to be the most popular colours that you're going to use. So if you want your projects to last longer and your seams to be stronger, invest in some quality thread.
Hello, I'm Kerry from Living in Loveliness and I'm delighted to be part of the Sewing Street team. I'm based in Wolverhampton and I absolutely love working with fabulous fabrics. In particular, I love working with fat quarters and showing you how to get the most from your scraps. I love bringing communities of sewists together and encouraging people to sew for greater causes. Most recently, we have been sewing for our NHS and key workers. I look forward to bringing you hints, tips and techniques. I'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Rosie Wells.
My name's Poppy and I'm a nutritional therapist.
Hi, I'm Ruth Lynette and I can't wait to join you all on the brand new Gemporia Lifestyle channel.
If you're a fan of primal living, you're going to adore what's around the corner.
What is lifestyle? Lifestyle is healthy habits.
Feeling good, it's about looking great.
Making sure that we're taking good care of ourselves inside.
And it's about the life that you lead and the home that you live in.
All of this is why I'm so excited.
We've got the most wonderful team.
Homeware deals and primal deals under one roof on one channel.
I can't wait to share this brand new channel with you. So we'll see you soon on Gemporia Lifestyle.
Gemporia Lifestyle, coming soon to Freeview Channel 74 and gemporia.com.
Thanks for seeing me back. My favourite piece of kit with the sewing is the seam ripper. Hello, I'm Janice from Birmingham. I specialise in dressmaking. I used to run a children's shop and I love making children's clothes. My mother encouraged me to sew from an early age. When we were young, we did dressmaking in the school. My claim to fame was the sewing quarter, but I'm now making also jumpsuits for ladies and men of all shapes and sizes, and it seems to be going for the festivals around the country. See you on the show.
Did you know that if you shop with Sewing Street, you're only going to pay one lot of postage all day? That's one payment of £3.95, no matter what you're buying. And you can check out as many times as you like without having to pay another delivery charge. So shop online at www.sewingstreet.com, or you can order via our call centre, which is 0800 001 4433. Welcome back again. Now we're going to do a bit of bag making in this hour. Well, I say we. Becky's going to do a little bit of bag making shortly. And this is the bag that she's going to make, or one of. I love all the pockets on it. This is one of those bags that's really going to keep you organised. I think it looks really stylish. And all of the hardware and everything we put together in the bundles for you, I'll take you through those in just a second. But look, we've got a lobster claw clasp to open it with. And then inside here, you've got a zip pocket and you've got a patch pocket. I love a bag with lots of pockets. I don't have any pockets in my bag at the moment, and everything just gets lost in the bottom. You're amazed what's in the bottom of my handbag. So I do like a bag with lots and lots of pockets. So the more the better, as far as I'm concerned. So two inside here. Becky's original design as well. And then under here, look, you've got a flap at the front that fastens with one touch fastening, so that's nice and secure. And then there's a couple of pockets on the front, and then you've got another zip pocket here, and you can't even see that flap underneath that flap. And then around the back you've got another pocket on the back as well, so great for travelling. I love the pocket on the back as well because that's a really secure pocket. Maybe that's where I'm going to keep my mobile phone or my passport if ever I get to travel ever again. And do you know, it's kind of one of those organised bags, but it's not too big. So lots and lots of pockets, lots of places to put your bits and bobs, big enough to keep your sandwiches if you're going to work, or a bit of paperwork, or I like to keep my diary in my handbag. I know I'm not electronic, and but it's not too big, so it could make a nice evening bag as well, I think, this one. So in the kit, now if you put those all together individually, you'd be paying an extra £15. But this is what we're going to give you. So fabric-wise for this bag, you have 1/2 metre of your shimmery gold, And this is really soft. It's the PU that I love. It's easy to work with, and although it's gold, it's not sparkly. It's a very sophisticated, classy kind of colour. So 1/2 metre of that one, and then 1 metre of the peacock. So that's lovely, isn't it? And it's really nice quality cotton as well. So 1/2 metre of that one, and then there's 1 metre of the patched fabric, which is called Murano. So that's bold, isn't it? That looks like I felted it. That's loads of fun. So 1 metre of that. So that's just the fabric. And then in each one, I shall take you through this only once. In each one of the bundles that we put together for you, you will have your Styleville, which is a single-sided fusible foam, and you'll have your H640. You get a zip. Do you only get the 1 zip? Oh, you get 3 zips. You will have your 1-touch fastening. You know what's nice as well? You're getting as much as you need. If you were to buy all of these individually, you won't be able to buy a piece of Velcro that big. You'll be buying a whole roll, and maybe you don't want to use the rest of it. So I like having what I need and not pay for anything extra that I don't need. I could stand up. You've also got 2 packets of iron-on interfacing. So Becky will explain where all of these go, and remember that is included in your pattern as well. The pattern's included in the bundle. So you've got 2 of those. You get an awful lot in this package. There are 3 of the swivel clasps. So 1 to close it and 2 for the straps. You have 1 packet of D-rings, so you've got 4 D-rings in there. And you've got a couple of sliders included as well, your rectangular sliders. And then you've got your pattern and your instructions as well, which I'm going to open up and show you. Oh. 1/4 of the stocks in baskets right now. So this is like, it's like a magazine. The ready for anything bag. So that's what, oh look at the photos. This is really nice quality. This isn't just bashed out on copy paper. So really clear. I love loads of photographs for instructions. You could probably make this by just following the photographs. So very clear, very simply explained, and then of course you've got your pattern pieces in there as well. So all of that, and of course including your fabric, for £59.99. And again, if you were to buy all of these separately, that would be an extra £15, so it's like having a £15 saving. So all of the hardware and the interfacing is in every single bundle. So I'll just take you through the different fabric options that we have. So that's that one. This, completely different look, isn't it? Same bag, different fabric, completely different look. So in here you will have 1/2 metre of the grey PU and 1/2 metre, it's got feathers on it, look, that's so pretty, like a duck egg, called Flower and Dots, that one. So 1/2 metre, 112 centimetres wide, and then you've got the silvery grey plain cotton there as well, 1/2 metre of that one, and all of that hardware and interfacing, remember. Oh, there's a metre of silver, sorry. So metre, 1/2 metre for £59.99. That's so stylish. I do like a bag. So remember, fabrics and your pattern and your interfacing and your Styleville and your hardware and your zips, all included. And then finally, oh, now then, this would make a nice wintry kind of bag. Love this one. So is that navy? You've got the navy, 1/2 metre of the navy. That's, I thought it was black, but it's navy, really dark, deep navy. And we've got 1 metre. That's lovely together, isn't it? Oh, flying around fabric. You get 1 metre of that one. It's got butterflies on it. And then 1 metre of the emerald green as well. All again for £59.99. So, Princess Maya Wanakisa. I hope I pronounced that right. We've got some very upmarket viewers this morning with posh names, haven't we? She loves that colourway. I don't know which one it was. And Vanessa, morning. Nice to see you again, Vanessa, as well. Morning to you. So remember, all of this comes with all of that hardware and everything you need, basically, apart from your sewing machine and a pair of scissors, to make up the complete bag. And once you've got the pattern, remember, you've got the pattern. So if you wanted to remake these in different fabrics, then I certainly would do. If I was you, I'd really make the most of that. The last colour that I showed you here, oh gosh, we have more of these in baskets than we have stock. So please, if you've got this in your basket, it's not yours until you check out. So if you're hanging onto this in your basket, then please go through to check out as quickly as you can. And if you want to order on the phone lines, it's 0800 001 4433. You need to do that now if you wanted this colourway, because that's just about to sell out. Okay. Right, so those are all of the options. I'm going to catch up with your messages now. And we've got a video that Becky kindly made of her demonstrating the bag. So I'm going to make myself another cuppa, because that's another half of one gone cold. And I'll see you again in a few minutes.
Guys, I'm Becky Alexander Frost, and Sewing Street have asked me to come on and demonstrate my patterns. I own a sewing brand and pattern design company called RJF Makes. RJF Makes stands for Rebecca Jane Alexander, but I don't prefer going by Rebecca, I actually prefer going by Becky. So you guys can call me Becky. Just a bit about myself. I've been sewing for 28 years, nearly 29 years, and that's thanks down to my mom. My mom was making some bridesmaids dresses when I was little. I was around about 5, and she was making them, and I was like hooked, and I watched her. And then after she finished, I asked if I could learn to sew. She said I wasn't at the right age, obviously because I was a bit childish. But when I turned 8, she started to teach me to hand sew, and around about 11 years, at the age of 11 years, I got my very first sewing machine. And my very first sewing machine was a hand cranked Singer sewing machine where you have to wind it up, and basically I've still got that at my parents' house, and I will never get rid of that because that was a treasured memory for me. Today on this hour, Sewing Street have asked me to demonstrate my very first look of this pattern. So here it is. It's called the Ready for Anything bag. It's exclusive for a short period to you guys, and Sewing Street have produced some lovely kits. My favourite one being the sample here, this green and grey, this minty green and grey. So you get a pattern booklet and a really large fold out pattern sheet, which I will show you a close-up on the overhead camera. But the booklet is full of instructions. So there is pattern cutting out instructions. There is how to basically treat your stabilizers, which is what gives it the robust feel of the bag. Also there is loads and loads, as you can see, loads of instructions and loads of pictures. And there is, I think, around about 32 pages in this. I haven't really counted, I just carry on writing and writing. So I designed this bag around me. Like most of my bags, I design around me. I designed it because I like organisation, so I know which pocket to go into for that particular item, like my phone or my hand sanitizer or my masks. And I like security because sometimes, being that I'm disabled, yes, I'm disabled, I have 2 crutches or 1 crutch, and depending on what day, if I'm on 2 crutches, I can't protect my bag, so I needed something with extra security. So this bag has got like loads of pockets on and extra security. So as you can see, it's got 2 flaps. That's for a reason. On the back it's got a zip, and it's a large zip so you can put your phone in there so you can feel it when you're actually out and about. But this here, if I undo this, right, So you get into your compartment here. There is 2 pockets and the main compartment inside. The first pocket is being the zip pocket. Let me take all this blur out. You've got a zip compartment here. And you've also got a slip pocket here, but a roomy compartment inside. And then underneath this flap is some extra pockets, and this is what I really wanted it for, so no one could get into the actual bag when I'm out and about. So I have another pocket, zip pocket here underneath, and 2 cargo pockets. No, 2 cargo pockets. As you can see, it's very robust, and yeah, there's got a bit of PU on it and some fabric, and you get everything in the kit. So the team at Sewing Street have actually sourced everything for you, so you don't really need to go out and buy anything else. The strap is two-toned, so it's got that nice extra softness, which if in the summer you've got a vest top on and you've got a bit of bare shoulder and you've got this on, this PU would basically hurt a bit. So I've put on a fabric bottom, a fabric underlay underneath. So now I'm going to go over to the overhead camera and we're going to have a close in-depth look on the pattern and the pattern templates. Right, so this is the pattern front cover. On the front cover it tells you everything what you need, but don't worry, Sewing Street have provided everything that you need to be able to make these bags, and they have produced 3 special unique kits for you today. So I'm going to look into the actual booklet that comes with it, which is fully instructions. So on the first page is a bit of blur about me. Also with this bag and all of my other patterns are full in-depth videos of how to make the bags from start to finish. So today I won't be teaching the full bag, I'll be teaching you key areas that you need to know for helping you guys out when it comes to making the bag. So there's a bit of blur about myself and where to find me. Also it tells you what you need, and also you need to read the notes. The notes is the key to know what you've got to do on certain sections. Let's go into it. So obviously you've got your cutting guide, which to be fair most of it is via templates, which is on your template sheet, and there is some measurement pieces that will be needed to be cut out when you are actually cutting out and there's no actual pattern pieces. There is also instructions here on how to prepare your fabric. The preparing your fabric is going to be the key thing that I'm going to hit as well today, because in the pattern I actually teach you how to use sewing foam. In your kit there is fusible foam, so you fuse it on. So I'm going to show you a few added extra elements which will help you rather than the instructions on this page on step number 3. So I'm going to teach you how to fuse the foam as well. Moving on, the next page is about making the zip pockets. Now you saw 3 zip pockets. The 3 zip pockets all have the same instructions. So for instance, I've done the very first zip pocket on the first 3 pages, well, 2.5 pages. And then later on in the pattern it tells you to refer back to making the zip pocket. So for instance, if you're making the back panel, which is here, making the back panel, it tells you to refer back to steps 1 to 9 section in the making the zip pocket. All the zips and the zip measurements fit this one complete instruction. So keep referring back to the very first section within the instructions. As you can see, there is quite a lot of photographs and loads of information of what you need to do. And then basically after you've done the first zip, we will move on to the cargo pocket, the front cargo pocket. And then basically that goes into quite some depth as well, each section. And it carries on for at least 2-3 pages. And then we will work on the over flap, the under flap, which is under the main flap, which covers the cargo pocket. And then basically we're going to finish off making the front panel on these sections. And then it goes into depth of talking about things to help you with if your machine is struggling. Like here we've got a bulky seam aid. Even on my machine, which is a very expensive machine, did struggle at one point. A bulky seam aid, or in here I tell you to like fold up a piece of card to just put under your foot and to help it just go over that one piece of section. That's the only bit you are going to struggle with. But to be fair, you won't struggle if you've got a walking foot on your machine and a size 16 needle. The next part is the how to make the bag gusset, which is the bit at the bottom, the base, and then how to construct the bag together. Then you move on to the over main flap and the closure, and assembling the flap onto the actual bag. And then we go into the pattern, how to make the lining. And like so here, it tells you to refer back to making the zip pocket here as well. So it tells you to actually go back to the start and basically put install the zip pocket onto one of the lining pieces. And then here we go into depth of how to make the actual shoulder, the crossbody strap. I've left a blank page here for notes, so if you wanted to, from the videos, from this video or from my main video, you can make some notes of certain techniques which I further add into the videos, and you can actually write it into this part here. And then obviously how to find me is on the back, and all the information of what you will need for this bag. Right, so now we've got the pattern piece. I've had to zoom out the camera a bit there. It is actually really good sturdy paper, so it's reusable. It's heavier than printer paper. They call it construction paper, and it's a very large pan. Obviously it won't fit all on, but you get all the templates that are needed for all the obscure shaped pattern pieces, and also you get the cutting out. My advice is to actually cut these out and label everything that you cut out once you've cut it out, and then pin this to it. Each part has basically got what you need to cut out in that actual part. So for instance, let's turn this around. For instance, let's look at the main body. It tells you to cut the main body piece, your 2 out of fabric pieces, 2 lining pieces, 4 medium weight interfacing, and 2 sewing foams. Ignore the sewing foams. Sewing Street have provided you with fusible foam. Right, so now I've cut out all my pieces and my little labels. I'm just going to pop the labels to one side. Right, so I'm not going to really go in depth on these pattern pieces, but I will on this one. So when you're cutting out your foam, Sewing Street have provided you with half a metre. Half a metre of foam is going to be ample enough if you followed these actual steps. So for instance, it tells you to place this on the fold of the foam. Now obviously you wouldn't fold the foam, you would draw around the template, flip this over, match it up to where that drawn line was and draw around it this side. Unfortunately, this will not fit onto your foam if you do that. However, if you cut your foam where it says place on fold, so you literally cut down, you will have two pieces. That's fine, because the thing I will show you in the actual video is where when you come to fuse this onto your bag gusset, you will match up where the two pieces join, get a bit of interfacing that should be left over from your kit, and pop that on top. And when you fuse it with your iron, that's my iron impression by the way, when you fuse it with your iron, you'll basically hold the iron over this bit for just a tad bit longer. I did that with this bag and you can't see any join line at all. There is no problems whatsoever on that area. So if you follow these steps, you will be fine. Now we've had a look at the pattern up close and the templates, and I've talked a bit about the fusible foam and what you need to do for that one specific pattern piece. I'm now going to go into showing you how to actually make the bag. Now I'm really only going to really show you the when I can get in. Is that security tight? I can't get in. Right, so I'm going to show you how to make the front panel, and then I'm also going to show you how to make the bag gusset. And then everything else after that is quite self-explanatory. And like I explained in the actual in the overhead camera, there is actually an extra video, a full depth video over on my channel on YouTube, which the links are in the actual pattern. So now I'm going to go back over to the overhead camera and show you everything how to make this bag. So you're going to need one of your main outer pieces. Now with the sewing foam, I tell you to cut back so you've got your seam allowance free from foam. So with fusible foam, like I said on the diagram, is to draw your template out, then draw a second line, inner line, and cut that inner line. So it means that you are free in the seam allowance area of foam. So on this piece here I've got interfacing and I've got fusible foam. So you're going to need one of these body pieces, you're going to need one of your inside zip pocket pieces, and that's got interfacing on as well. So first off we need to find the centre top and the centre bottom of this panel, so we're going to fold it in half. I'd just like to snip into the seam allowance area. I'm only doing around about 1/4 inch. The seam allowance, the seams are all bar a few at 3/8 of an inch, but follow the instructions and it will basically tell you what seam allowance to use on that particular area. So I'm just gonna stick a pin where I've just basically put those 2 marks in. Now I'm going to use my quilter's ruler. I'm going to measure down 2 inches from the top edge, which is the straightest edge. Okay, then I'm going to fold this in half lengthwise and just give this a bit of a press, finger press. It doesn't have to go to your iron. And all we need to do is find the centre. Then we're going to open up that fabric, that zip pocket lining piece, and we're going to pop this right side facing the right side. And we're going to, the number 6 on here is actually where my centre is. So I'm going to match it up where this centre is of this zip pocket lining. And I'm just going to pin this zip pocket into place. You need a marking tool for this next step. So from this lining edge we are going to measure down 1 inch. I'm just going to move that pin. we're going to measure down 1 inch. I'm going to identify, obviously because I'm losing it here, I'm going to identify where my centre is of my actual zip pocket. So from this zip pocket edge, top edge, I'm going to measure down 1 inch. Okay. And then I need to draw a horizontal line measuring in the centre of this actual zip panel. I need to do a 7-inch zip horizontal line. So I'm going to measure from the half point 3.5 inches, and then from the half point here I'm going to measure 3.5 inches. That will give me my 7. So if I just draw that line there, so that's my first line. Then from that line that I've just drawn here, I'm then further going to measure down 3/8 of an inch. Because the pattern says 5/8 of an inch, that's for the larger type zips. In your pattern, in your kit that Sewing Street have provided, they're all number 3s zips. So you'll need to actually measure down 3/8 of an inch on all the pockets, which it does tell you in the pattern. Okay, so we're going to measure down 3/8 of an inch and just draw another line. So you've now got a letterbox slot that's drawn for you. We need to find the horizontal middle. So I'm just going to eyeball that bit. And I'm going to draw another line. So you should have 3 horizontal lines. Then from the 2 short edges, we're going to measure in 1/2 inch on each side. So, like so. Like so. And then from here, we're just going to make some triangles. Okay. So if I bring it up, so you should basically have something like this. We're now going to go to our sewing machines and sew on the outer line all the way around, making sure we reverse our stitch. I'm going to use a stitch length number 2.4 on my sewing machine, and I've obviously got my walking foot on. I will keep my walking foot on for the majority of the project. We are not going to sew anything inside this actual rectangle box. Right, so now we've sewn all the way around that outer box, we're just going to remove these pins. So the next thing we need to do is on this centre horizontal line we need to cut a hole. I'm just going to get my seam ripper in and just make a hole big enough so I can just get a small pair of snips in to start off with. Now I've got a hole, I'm going to get my scissors in and cut to where that first triangle point is, and then I'm going to do the same with this triangle point here. And then basically we are going to cut from this triangle point to where that sewn line is, but we're not going to cut through that sewn line. And then we're also going to do the same with this one here as well. But as close as you can get it, but without cutting that sewn line. And then we're just going to do the same for the other one as well. Trying my hardest not to get my head in here because I don't want my head showing in the camera. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is get not your dressmaking scissors for this next step. So you're going to get some standard scissors, but sharp enough to cut through foam. What we need to do is get rid of some of this bulky foam that's in this rectangle square. So I'm just going to trim along. But we're not going to cut into that sewn line, we're just getting rid of the foam. I've got my scissors at a an angle, and I'm just using the tip of the scissors. Okay, and we're just going to get rid of that bit. Okay, so as you can see, I freed up quite a lot of the foam that was in that area. The next thing we're going to do is just give this a good finger press on the right side. Like so. And then we're just going to pass this lining piece through this hole and the top bit there. I'm going to pass that through. So now the right side of the lining is on the wrong side of the main body panel. So I'm now going to go to the iron. So I'm going to press it so to the point where you can't see this lining piece. So you actually want a clear hole all the way around. Okay, so now I've actually pressed this. You will get creases on the lining side of the pocket in these corners. That's adamant because we've got foam to tackle around. But on this side you should hardly see any of the pocket lining within that open gap. So the next thing you're going to do is, and I've asked Sewing Street to get some in, is some quilter's tape. You're going to run quilter's tape along the top and along the bottom. So okay. Another thing we're going to do is, because this keeps trying to come back upon itself, I'm just going to run some temporary quilter's tape close to the top where this will be, not anywhere near where the join is. And I'm just going to peel off that backing, and then I'm just going to pull that and stick that into place. That's just to help us for these next few steps. We're going to peel off the backing tape for this, these two pieces, and then we are going to get the zip. Make sure your zip pull is whichever way you open up a zip. I always like mine on the left hand side. And then I'm just going to pop this over the zip and stick this into place, making sure the zip pull is in the centre of that pocket hole and the zip is stuck into the centre. Might need readjusting, just a few bits. That's it. Just to make sure it's straight. Right, so now I've got the zip in, what I'm going to do is go to my sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch using a stitch length number 4 on my machine because I've got some foam and I'm going through bulk. I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch all the way around and reverse my stitch. I'm going to start sewing and finish sewing in this bottom hand corner. Right, so now I've sewn all the way around, I'm just going to flip this over and trim off this bit here. The next thing I'm going to do is peel this bit back and remove this quilter's tape. Another thing that I do is actually bring my zip into the centre to stop any bulkiness and stuff. What I'm going to do now is flip this over, bring this pocket piece up and just give that a good finger press. I'm sorry, I live in the farming community and that was a tractor just going past. I do apologise. Right, so I've folded that piece up. The next thing I'm going to do is flip this over and then I'm just going to peel this back here and I'm just going to pop some pins in, pinning these two pieces of lining pieces together. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew down this side and this top. But when I'm sewing, I will be moving this foam out the way and just sewing along this edge here of this. I won't be touching anything on the actual foam piece here. And then once I get to that corner, I will basically open up that, sew across here. Now when you come to here, because my walking foot's quite wide, I will need to move my needle position over, and I will sew all the way down to this corner here, and then unfold it and then refold it and sew down this bit. But when I come to this corner, I will move my needle position back on my actual sewing machine back into the centre. So for the cargo pocket, you'll need to have a lining piece and a main outer piece, and basically you'll need to interface both of those. We're going to pop these right sides together, matching up that top straight line. Just pop a few pins in just to hold it into place. And then we're going to go to our sewing machine using a stitch length 2.4 and sew across this edge here, and we're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now sewing across the edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm now going to go to my iron, open this out, roll it and give this top seam a very good press. And then what the next step I'm going to do, once I've given this a good press, I'm going to go to my sewing machine and just top stitch 1/8 inch away from the edge. So now I've top stitched along the top edge, what I'm going to do now is just to make sure everything is all one piece, just going to base stitch all the way around the edge here using a large stitch length. So now I've base stitched all the way around and top stitched the join. This is now one complete piece. I need to find the centre, so I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm just going to give it a really good finger press. Okay, that will help you for later on. If you're finding that you're not finger pressing it that well, go to your iron and give this a good press. So the next thing we need to do is get a quarters rule, and we're going to measure in from this side here to start off with 5 1/4 inches. Now John's going to take the mick out of me. I'm sorry about the light, I do apologise. I have to count. I'm so sorry. What I'm doing is this top line here, I'm making it prominent on one of my horizontal lines on my quarters ruler, and I'm going to count, measure it to the 5 1/4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/4. Making sure that's perfectly straight on this line here and this top line. I'm going to get a friction pen and just draw a line from top to bottom. I'm going to repeat the same step on this side. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/4. And I'm just going to draw a line there. Now it's quite hard to see that on the camera, but I can see it, that's the main thing. So these drawn lines now, we are going to pinch in that area, so the right sides are facing out, and where that fold is where that drawn line is. I'm going to go to my iron and press that, but the good thing with me pressing this area, these creases, these lines, these drawn lines will disappear. I'm going to do it for both of these lines, so I'm going to press this one this way, so it's like that. Then I'm going to open that up and then find the drawn line on this one and press that way, and then you should have an M shape. Right, so I've now pressed that, and as you can see I've got like an M shape here. I've also gone one step and top pressed that centre seam, that centre crease, shall I say. So the next thing we're going to do is go to our sewing machine, and where the two drawn lines were, where the creases are now, we're going to fold it and top stitch 1/8 of an inch down this line, and then going to fold this one over and top stitch 1/8 of an inch down this centre here, this crease here. Okay, and Sewing Street have given you in your kit some Velcro, and it is actually longer than the piece that you actually require, so you need to trim this down into 2 pieces of 3 inches. Okay, so I need these 2 pieces, the 2 3-inch pieces, this little piece here, keep for another project. Peel those apart and put the rougher side to one side on both pieces. So we're going to be working on this side of the pocket with the 2 softer sides of the Velcro. So on the back of the Velcro, because it's not sticky Velcro, we're going to just pop some quilter's tape on the back. And then this is where I need to use 2 quilter's rolls. So we're going to measure on either side here to stick the Velcro into place. We're going to measure from the top 1/2 inch down into the actual pocket, and I'm going to start off on this side first, and then from this edge here I'm going to measure in 1 inch, and I like to do this so I know I'm getting my Velcro straight. So I'm going to peel off the backing tape and I'm going to butt this up, stick this up against the 2 quilter's rolls and stick that down. I'm going to repeat the whole same process onto this side here. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is go to our sewing machine, and we're just going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around on both pieces. I'm going to use a stitch length number 3 on my sewing machine. Right, so I've top stitched around those. I'm now going to get the main body piece that we've been working on previously. I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm just going to fold this pocket lining up. We want it out of the way for when we attach the quilters, the cargo pocket. So I'm just going to pin this out of the way, flip this back over, and if you remember right, I did actually make a mark of where the top and the bottom is. So I'm just going to pop some pins back into those places. I'm going to get this cargo pocket, and you remember that centre crease? We're going to pop the centre crease so it matches up to the centre top and the centre bottom of the main, and we're popping the lining of the pocket onto the right side of the outer panel. And I'm going to pin that centre crease in the centre. What I'm going to do is just remove those 2 pins that I put in to find the centre top and the centre bottom. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and top stitch starting from here. I'm going to remove this pin obviously because we might break our needle in our sewing machine. And we're going to reverse our stitch a few times because it will be a bit more robust when we're using the pockets once we've finished the bag. I'm going to sew down this centre crease all the way down to the bottom. Right, so I've now base stitched the pocket to the actual main body piece. I'm just going to flip it over and take that pin out, that's vital, so bring that down and basically pop this complete bit to one side. So the next thing we're going to work on is the under flap of the bag. So the under flap requires 2 pieces of fabric, 1 main outer fabric, and I'm using this nice shiny gold PU from the kit, and some lining fabric. Both pieces of fabric have actually got interfacing on, but this one has actually got a bit further more stabiliser. I've used the fusible fleece and I've trimmed it back so it's not in the seam allowance area, so you're basically free of fabric. So we're going to pop the main outer piece to one side at the moment, and we're going to work on the lining fabric. So do you remember the two pieces of Velcro, which is the rougher side that we put on one side? We were actually going to pop those onto here. So this time we are going to go to section making the underflap. So on the back of these, I'm just going to once again pop quilter's tape on the back, so I've got something to make it stick to the fabric. And then I'm going to use 2 quilter's rolls again. So we're going to measure 1 1/4 inches up from the bottom, and we're going to measure 1 inch in from the side. So the 1 inch is where the actual part of the actual bottom edge of the pocket is, not up the top. Up the top it should be approximately around about 3/4 inch in, but we're going from where the corner is of the actual pocket. I'm going to peel off the backing tape and stick that into position, and then we're going to repeat it on the same side here. Right, so I'm going to go to our sewing machine, and just like we did on the actual slip pocket area, we're going to top stitch around using 1/8 inch seam allowance. Right, so I've top stitched all the way around those 2 pieces of Velcro. We're going to get the main outer piece and pop that right side facing up on our work surface. We're going to get the lining piece that we've just sewn the Velcro to, and we're going to pop the Velcro side to the right side of this panel. So the right side to right side. Match up all the edges. Now, because we're using PU leather, my advice is to move over to some wonder clips. So we need to make 2 marks at the top, approximately around about 3 to 4 inches in the centre. It doesn't have to be precisely in the centre, but we need to make a turning gap. So I'm just going to pop some marks there. I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and now I'm going to stitch from this line here all the way around to this line here using 3/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to use stitch length number 2.4. Right, so now I've sewn all the way around, we need to trim back this seam allowance, but we're not going to trim back where that turning gap is. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is get a turning tool or chopstick like I use, and turn this flap the right side facing out through that gap. I'm going to poke out those corners and get my chopstick in. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my iron. I'm just going to lightly press just around these corners here and this edge here. Not going to touch this edge, and I'm going to press from this side, not this side. But as we're using PU, we need to use a bit of quilter's tape. So I'm just going to peel a bit off and just flip this over. Where this top edge is, the turning gap, I'm just going to stick a bit onto the actual PU and peel off the backing. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that under and stick the lining onto that bit that I've just tucked in. Now it's trial and error, so just bear with me. I'm just going to pop a few clips into that just for now. Right, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine and top stitch around this edge here using a stitch length number 3.5 to 4, and we're going to top stitch all the way around 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Now you might find that it's wanting to roll and show the lining from underneath, like mine is trying to at the bottom. You don't really want to see any of the lining, so if you just roll the PU over that lining and put some clips in, it should hold it into place while you're sewing it. Right, so I've top stitched all the way around. I'm just going to remove those clips. Now if you do get little indents, just rub your finger and thumb over it and those will disappear, but just do not leave your clips in overnight or else those indents will never disappear. Flip this over and run quilter's tape along the top edge here, and we're going to peel off the backing tape. Now we're going to get the main outer panel that we were working on earlier. Make sure this actual zip pocket lining is definitely pointing down, and we are going to stick these Velcro pieces of the flap on top of those Velcro pieces. And I'm not going to push down on the top at the moment. What I need to do is just measure 2.25 inches from the top. Oh. There you go. That's 2.25 inches. Then I'm going to stick the flap at the 2.25 inches mark. Like so. Now you should have approximately the same amount of distance either side here, which is your 3/8 of an inch. I'm now going to go to the top stitch, 2 rows of stitches across the top of the flap. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, and then I'm going to do 1 at 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. That's just to give you extra precaution when you're opening up the actual flap. Right, so I've top stitched 2 rows of stitches on that actual flap. I'm just going to cut off any loose pieces of thread and that. I'm so loving this colourway. I thought the other one was my favourite, but I think I might have a new favourite. So, possibly be buying 2 kits. Right, so I'm just going to pop this to one side. And we are going to move on to the D-ring tab, which is set at the bottom of the actual, the bottom of the front panel. So in your kit you'll have your D-rings. You just need 1 of these D-rings to start off with. We need to find the centre of the this D-ring tab, and we need to draw a line. So I know it's 1.5 inches, so we need to measure 3/4 of an inch in and draw a line. And you probably guessed it by now, either side of that line we are going to put quilter's tape. So the first thing we're going to do is peel off the backing of both of those pieces. And then I'm going to get the 2 raw edges and fold those into the centre on the wrong side of the tab, and stick that down onto the quilter's tape. Right, so on the right side we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. You might find doing a stitch length number 3.5. Right, so I've top stitched down the 2 sides. I'm just going to feed this onto my D-ring and fold it over. Now I'm just going to pop a clip on the raw end. I'm going to get my panel, and where the centre bottom is, I'm just going to pop this on top of that centre, matching up the raw edges at the bottom. I'm going to clip that into place. Right, so I'm going to go to back to my sewing machine and just stitch across the bottom within the seam allowance. Then I'm going to go 1 step further. I'm going to sew in the centre of this strap up to as far as I can get my presser foot to go to where that D-ring is. And I'm just going to reverse my stitch. Now you've got your D-ring tab sewn in, we're going to pop this panel to one side and move on to the gusset of the bag. I've now attached these parts together. I'm going to flip this over, and this is where we need to fuse the interface, the fusible foam. Now, it's trial and error, you might need to cut a bit more off the foam, which I will. So we need the two pieces to meet in the centre, so I'm just going to basically just cut down this part here so we have a straight edge. Okay, so I'm going to remove that piece there, and just underneath that piece is that piece, and I'm just going to pop those two together. Make sure I've got equal amount of distance free of foam all the way around. Then I'm just going to get a piece of interfacing, and I'm just going to seal that over the top. And I'll probably just put an extra piece on top just to make it a bit more firmer. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go and set this foam to the actual panel. So I'm going to use some steam and a pressing cloth. Definitely use a pressing cloth. Right, so now that's actually fused into place. So we need to find the centre top and the centre bottom of both sides. It's generally where you've fused the centre is, but mine's just slightly off. So I'm just snipping into there. Okay. We're going to get the panel, and then we're going to match up one of these centres, there you go, you can see me, one of these centres here to this centre here. And I'm just going to pop a clip. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is bring this up and pop a clip there. So the thing that you're going to come across is this flap could possibly get in the way. So if you do what I'm about to do now, is open it up, fold the flap sides in. You might want to just pop a clip. It's only for temporary measures while we're doing this step. 2 clips there. Right. Now I'm going to pop some clips down the side. I'm going to put quite a few clips in. The next thing I'm going to do is bring this other side up and pop a clip matching the 2 top edges, and pop a clip. It's slightly kink in here, so to get rid of that we're going to chop in, just do little snips into the seam allowance where the curve will fall, and then I'm just going to naturally fold and press in that corner and match up the corner. And what's happening is where those snips are, you might be able to see this on camera, but the snips are slowly opening up, so it eases round the actual corner. Now with the corners, my advice is to put quite a lot of clips on them, and then we're going to do the same with this one here. Right, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and this is the final step that I'm going to show you, as I think I might run out of time and get told off for running over. But I'm going to stitch all the way around using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. That's 1 centimetre, and I'm going to use a stitch 2.4. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, just to make sure this is caught, sewn correctly, Just going to turn it right side facing out. Give the seam a good roll and see if there's any missed stitches where it hasn't sewn. And then basically you can start seeing the bag shape. I hope you actually enjoyed that tutorial. For the full length video you can go over to my channel on YouTube and all the links is in the pattern. This is where I offer my thanks to Sewing Street for having me on. And also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Tag me in the Sewing Street fans group on Facebook, and I will answer any questions that you have. And most of all, I want to see you mates, so don't forget to tag me. See you soon.
Well, thank you very much to Becky for that, the video and the demonstration. And yes, you did do such a good job. We've sold out of everything. So well done there. However, if you've missed out, don't worry. We've got another demonstration from Becky coming up at 11 o'clock this morning, and she's going to be making these craft buckets. So impressed. These are such lovely quality. Good stitching, Becky. And lovely fabrics that we put together for you as well. So this is coming up at 11 this morning. So you haven't necessarily missed out on Becky's project. I love those panels. Look at the sewing machines. I definitely want one of those. Okay, so that's 11. Coming up in the next hour, we've got more panels. This time we're looking at Poppies and Remembrance Day panels. So do stay with us. We'll be back again in a few minutes' time.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Hi, I'm Becky Alexander Frost, and Sewing Street have asked me to join their team as one of their guest designers. I own a sewing pattern design company. My pattern design company is RJAF Makes. RJAF Makes is my initials. Even though it's Rebecca Jane Alexander Frost, I prefer being known as Becky, and you guys get to call me Becky. I've been sewing just over 28 years thanks to my mother who taught me, and I'm now bringing patterns to Sewing Street. So I look forward to seeing you guys.
Hi, I'm Rosie Wells.
My name's Poppy and I'm a nutritional therapist.
Hi, I'm Ruth Lynette and I can't wait to join you all on the brand new Gemporia Lifestyle channel.
If you're a fan of Primal Living, you're going to adore what's around the corner.
What is lifestyle? Lifestyle is healthy habits.
Feeling good, it's about looking great.
Making sure that we're taking good care of ourselves inside.
And it's about the life that you lead and the home that you live in.
All of this is why I'm so excited.
We've got the most wonderful team.
Homeware deals and Primal deals under one roof on one channel.
I can't wait to share this brand new channel with you. So we'll see you soon on Gemporia Lifestyle.
Gemporia Lifestyle, coming soon to Freeview Channel 74 and Gemporia.com.
To see me back. My favourite piece of kit with the sewing is the seam ripper. Hello, I'm Janice from Birmingham. I specialise in dressmaking. I used to run a children's shop and I love making children's clothes. My mother encouraged me to sew from an early age. When we were young, we did dressmaking in school. My claim to fame was the sewing quarter. But I'm now making also jumpsuits for ladies and men of all shapes and sizes, and it seems to be going for the festivals around the country. See you on the show!
If you love sewing, then you need the UK's favourite sewing magazine. Every month you'll receive exclusive patterns, Follow simple step-by-step guides suitable for all skill levels to make your own stunning clothes, accessories and more, together with inspiring tips and tricks from industry experts. Join in and discover your love for sewing. Try Love Sewing today and get your first 3 issues for just £6.
Did you know that if you shop with Sewing Street, you're only going to pay one lot of postage all day? That's one payment of £3.95, no matter what you're buying. And you can check out as many times as you like without having to pay another delivery charge. So shop online at www.sewingstreet.com, or you can order via our call centre, which is 0800 001 4433.
Hello, I'm Kerry from Living in Loveliness and I'm delighted to be part of the Sewing Street team. I'm based in Wolverhampton and I absolutely love working with fabulous fabrics. In particular, I love working with fat quarters and showing you how to get the most from your scraps. I love bringing communities of sewists together and encouraging people to sew for greater causes. Most recently, we have been sewing for our NHS and key workers. I look forward to bringing you hints, tips and techniques. I'll see you soon.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Did you know that if you shop with Sewing Street, you're only going to pay one lot of postage all day? That's one payment of £3.95, no matter what you're buying. And you can check out as many times as you like without having to pay another delivery charge. So shop online at www.sewingstreet.com, or you can order via our call centre, which is 0800 001 4433. Hello, good morning and welcome back again. You're watching Sewing Street. This hour we're going to be looking at fabric panels, and particularly two brand new panels that we have for you today, which are in recognition of Remembrance Day. So these are something that you could maybe quilt or hang in your window, raise awareness. This isn't instead of buying a poppy. This is just to, I don't know, broadcast to the world what we're thinking of on the 11th of the 11th, showing a little bit of support. So as a wall hanging, as a small quilt, there's lots you can do with this. I love the flowers in the centre. I think I would be embellishing those, maybe with a little bit of free motion embroidery, or with a little bit of sparkle. I think would look quite nice there as well. But if you simply just wanted to put some wadding and backing fabric on here and maybe quilt around the edges, then I think that would work really well as well. Now it's really busy for these already, so we've only got a limited amount of panels, so if you wanted to order, please can you do that sooner rather than later. It's 0800 001 4433 if you wanted to order on the phone lines, or check out your baskets please if you're ordering on the website. So these are 100% cotton, designed and printed in the UK. And this is the We Will Remember Them panel. We do have two panels for you to choose from. So we've got detail in the corner there, look, with the corn and the poppies in the centre. And then beautiful border around here as well. So you don't need to be an absolute quilting expert to be able to create something beautiful from these. And it is something that you're going to be able to bring out year after year after year. And deservedly so. It's really big as well, actually, isn't it? So this is £12.99, which again I think is fantastic value for money for something that's going to last you such a very long time. Right, let's do that and that and that and that, and move on to the second. This is my favourite one. So we've got a larger panel this time. It's huge. Look. And you've got all of these elements. So it actually measures 70 centimetres by 50 centimetres. That measures more than 70 centimetres wide. Each panel is 70 centimetres wide. That's what it means. So I was confused. That's 100, because I was thinking that's 140 wide, I'm sure. So each panel, 70 centimetres by 50. So you've got the poppies here. And then, isn't that a lovely fabric? It's poppies, but it's in an unexpected colour. It's like a sandy kind of colour. So I think that's really unusual. And then down here you've got the larger panel. So there's the border, and you've got two of, oh, that's white. Two of the emblems there as well. So you could be making two smaller quilts, maybe cushion covers with those. Again, wall hangings, things to hang in your window. And then you've got the longer panels there as well, which, do you know, if you just cut those up, again, put them on a backing fabric, maybe a batten or a piece of doweling, and hang them up in your window. You don't really need to do anything with them. I'm going to make some bunting from this, I think, because I think poppy bunting for Remembrance Day would be a really nice thing to do, and it's really, really easy to make as well. In fact, should we do it? Should we do it? Now, if you have a look on our website, if you're shopping that way, underneath the video, you will see lots more panels, and we've got some backing fabrics and fabrics by the metre, and we have some by the half metre, and we've got some bundles for you, and we've got waddings too, so polyester and wool. So if you did want to make a quilt with any of these, you've got lots of options there too. So, or those are on pre-order because we haven't actually seen them on air yet. So, but you can still buy them, still check out. So I'm going to maybe use alternate ones. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And I've got some red spot fabric that I'm going to use on the back because these are going to be lined. So let's cut the panels out first of all. We do have red spot fabric by the half metre. So I'll just whiz down here. So I'm just cutting these out roughly for now. So where are you going to hang yours? Is it going to be in your window? Is it going to be in the church? In the garden? Obviously not if it's raining, you have to bring it in again. Unless you lamifix your fabric, that'd be a nice idea. Could be in your school, college. So I'm not going to use I'm not going to use those bits. I don't know where that accent came from. So I'm just going to use these. Right. Okay. Pretty though, isn't it? It's pretty fabric. And, you know, for all year round, this one. Now then, let's take my ruler. What I like as well, particularly for things like the bunting, they can be non-directional. So although the poppies are all kind of facing in this way, if I use that upside down, it's not going to stand out too much as being upside down. And this one is non-directional. So particularly with bunting, you can make the most of your fabric. Let me just line those two edges up there. That's it. Then I'm going to neaten actually the bottom's quite neat. Now I'm going to neaten it again. Where that came from. So I'll just move this down my mat a little bit. I'll straighten off the bottom. So across there. Right. Can felt those later. Probably can't felt them later because I don't think we've got any machines left. That's that. Then I'm going to trim the end off here just to make that nice and straight. And then I think my bunting is going to be 6.5 inches deep because that's the width of my ruler, so that works for me. So I'm just going to cut another strip here. And the thing with the bunting, lining it or putting a backing on it and having a nice ribbon to hang it from, this is going to come out year after year as well. And I don't think it's ever going to go away, so it's nice to have something that's long lasting. Now then, let's measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches across the bottom. So the top of my pennant, the top of the triangle is going to be 5 inches wide. And then, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. And then I'm going to go to the 2.5 inch mark at the top here and cut from 5 to 2.5. I've done that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. and that way. So I don't need that. And then 5 inches from the top here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And I can just go along my strip like so, and I'm cutting through 2 pieces of fabric at a time, so it's really quick. So 5 inches at the top again, and I've got uniform sizes, and I'm really making the most of the fabric. So I think that's going to be enough for what we've got time to do in this show. And I've still got all of this spare. I think it's a nice subtle idea, just having a little bit of poppy bunting across a window or a doorway. Right, so this is how we're looking. Oh, I won't have time to make all of these up. But you can see what I mean about the fabric kind of being non-directional. So I'm going to have alternate like that. Yeah. So I'll need to cut some back. Actually, I'm going to use these as backing. I was going to use some of the spot, but I think I'll use that for the ribbon because I've already cut these. So if you're not going to see the back of this, if it's going to be against a wall maybe, then I wouldn't worry about putting any more of the panels on the back. I'd just put some plain fabric on the back. But if it's hanging in a window, then you're going to see it from the outside and the inside. So it might be quite nice to have both fabrics. So I'm going to sew these right sides together. And just use a narrow seam allowance. It's not particularly important on things like this. Actually, different size bunting would be nice, wouldn't it? So I have a large pennant and a smaller one. Be a little bit different. I'll plug the foot pedal in actually, because that usually helps. All right. Oh, needle's in the wrong position. I'll do that in a minute. Great projects for beginners, I think. Come out to the bunting. You're just sewing triangles in straight lines. And it's really quick and it's really simple to do. So stop with the needle down in the point, turn around and go back up again. And it doesn't matter if your stitches are a little bit wobbly. And you don't have to fit zips and put darts in or anything like that. It's a really, really simple project. Let's move that back to the beginning. So again, I'm just sewing together one of the red poppy with one of the sandy coloured poppies. Good practice for sewing in straight lines as well. So needle down at the point while we pivot around and go back down again. It's almost joining together as it is here with chain piecing. And the next one, come here. I wrote a book on bunting projects, and it was one of the most fun things. You know what it's like? Somebody says, oh, can you do this? And you go, oh, yes, thinking, what on earth am I going to fill a book with on bunting, on triangles of fabric? And there's so much you can do. Different shapes. These could be squares. I made bunting to go around a table just to decorate the top of it, and lampshades and things like that. Bunting with something a bit smelly in there, so something floral, I think, with poppies would be really nice. So you can make, treat them as little pouches instead of just triangles. Oh, pocket bunting. Pocket bunting would be really good. And you're only using very small pieces of fabric. You can see with this, there's so much left over. Down there. So you're having little pockets with storage. I thought was quite sweet. Shall I show you? Let's have that enough with that. So with my triangles, oh, where's my little piece of fabric? There we go. So if I cut, oh, that's spotty fabric, by the way, by the half metre. This one's sold out now, but it is available in a bundle. So I'm going to cut a couple of triangles to the same size. But then let's trim the top down a bit. And then sew the top of these right sides together. I do love bunting. Bunting isn't just for street parties, for birthdays, it's all year round. It's a nice decoration. Then this would turn over. Oh, I've done that the wrong way. Oh, you silly devil. I've sewn it right side to wrong side. Is this déjà vu? That's because I'm rushing, so apologise. So just snip that. And then do it right. Or I could just do it wrong again, you know. Those things happen as well. Right. So right sides together. And then fold that over and crease it. Then that can go on the front of there. And that goes on there. And we'll stick a pin in it. And then just sew around the edge. Just line all those points up together. Down into the corner, turn around. And pin out. Then I'm going to chop quite a lot of fabric away from the point. And then turn it through. Poke the end out with something pointy, not your scissors. Oops. And then you've got a nice little pennant with a pocket on the front. So if you wanted to put a few sprigs of dried flowers or something, or use it to store bits and bobs, then you can do. But I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. Oh yeah, I did that, I'm over that one. I've already done that one. Right, so again, I'm going to chop off the fabric in the point before I turn it the right side out. Because you could felt all of these bits that you're chopping off. And then I'll make some binding to sew these onto, because that's going to make a nice neat finish. Can felt that. So let's turn this through. And then we'll need to press them. We'll do that with all of the bits. So you can make these as big as you like. You can have some huge bunting. If you want to put little pockets on the front, it's quite nice to have them serviceable, so to speak. Hannah producer's going to put some in her bay window. That would be nice in a bay window. You could put them across your pelmets. Look lovely. Decorate that a little bit. Maybe a bed head over a doorway. Not over, so you can't get through it, but at the top of a doorway would be nice. If you've got a porch, maybe on top of your front door. Alright, push that out, and then we will give those a quick press. So I'm just plugging the iron in, bear with me. There we go. So who have we got now? Well, I'm just waiting for the iron to warm up. Wendy, morning. She loves it. We had so many nice comments about Becky's demo. She's really good, isn't she? Linda's watching. Morning, Linda. Just ordered the large pappy panel to hang in her window. Has Christine and bunting. She likes the idea for the bunting. Great demo, Becky, again. Oh, you've got some really lovely comments, Becky. I'm sure you've seen those. Right, let's give these a press. And then we'll trim them down a little bit and we'll make some binding to hang them up. There's plenty of fabric, actually, if you wanted to make that out of the actual poppy fabric. Let's press those. There we go. And one more. Then I need to trim those down because I've got little ears poking out the top. And you don't want those. So just chop them off, cut straight across the top. That makes them a lot neater and it'll be a lot easier to put the binding on too. There we go. Then I will use, shall we use, no, I think I'm going to use this one. Actually, you could just use the white border, make the most of your fabric there. But I'm going to use this because I've got plenty and I've only got a little string of bunting. Oops, drop one. So I'm going to cut a strip of fabric 2 inches wide. Again, as long as you like, you could just use a ribbon to hang them up. I just like to hide all of the ends. Whoops, you'll see what I mean in a sec. Just chop the end of that off. Let's iron that. And then I'm going to press this in half lengthwise. So in effect I'm making a piece of binding, which isn't biased because it's not cut at a 45-degree angle. So let's go down here. If you've got a bias tape maker, it's a lot easier than this. Let's have a bit of steam. So long edge to the centre again. If you're using a fabric that doesn't want to crease very well, this does, it's 100% cotton, but if you are using a different fabric that's a bit softer, then a spray of your best press will help to keep this nice and crisp. So both long sides to the centre. Could use shop bought or pre-made bias binding if you prefer. And to be honest, if I was doing miles and miles of bunting, I wouldn't use this actual fabric for the binding. Fold in half again. Like so. Oh, that's getting hot. So that's it with the iron. Just switch that off. That would normally be longer. This is going to be a little skinny string of bunting, but that's what it's like. And then just wrap this over the top of my bunting pennants, and we'll have a pin in there. So space them out nice and evenly. So how far we get with this little bit. Where are you? Slip that one in there. So try and keep them the same distance apart. And we'll just have one more on this little bit. And then we'll sew. I'm just going to top stitch all the way down. Oh, go in there. On the edge. That's it. Oops, in you go. If you've got a fabric glue stick, then you could actually glue this in instead of pinning. That'll hold it in a lot more securely as you're sewing. So in you go. But it just means by putting the binding around, you've got a nice neat finish on both sides. So if you're hanging this across the garden or across a window where you're going to see both sides of it, it's going to look as good on the front as it is on the back. And they're very quick to make. So almost done. We just had who's the message from? From Iris. Hi Iris. And she was saying, oh, she didn't know what I meant when I said about the felting. Oh, you weren't watching at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock this morning, you weren't watching on one of the hours of the day. We had a felting machine on Iris at 8 o'clock this morning, but it's sold out now. But if you do have a look back over the shows, it's just a great way of using up scraps of fabric. So any of the little bits of fabric I've got left, I'm putting in the felting pot. There you go, look, just a little strip of bunting just to give you an idea of how quick, how easy, how effective that is. And again, it's the same on both sides. So if you are hanging that in a window, you can see both sides. You've got a really nice look. And it's nice quality. So if that comes out year after year after year, or it stays out all year, then you've got a nice bit of bunting. I would make that longer, maybe even bigger. So that's one of the fat quarter panels. So there's 2 fat quarter panels. I think these are, dare I say, these are not fat quarters, they are obese. Because they're 70 centimetres by 50. Normally a fat quarter would be just over 50 by 50. But these are really, really big fat quarters. So those are the 2, and then the other designs, I've lost them. There we go. This is the bottom half. So you've got the larger panels with the banners. You've got 2 banners there. So upside down, sorry. And you've got your 2 large panels there as well, which you use them for whatever you wish. You can just stretch them around the canvas if you don't even want to sew them. You can quilt them, you can cushion cover them, or just cut them up, stick them in your window. So that's this one. And then we have the large panel, which is, bear with me, this one, and that is £12.99. I'll flatten out. There we go. So nice size again for a wall hanging. Just put some wadding behind it. You can quilt it. I'd add a little bit of quilting around the actual poppies themselves or around the frame. Great for free motion embroidering, or if you wanted to embellish with some little French knots over the poppies, then that's entirely up to you. The amount of time and work that you put into finishing this is entirely up to you, your skill level and how much time you have, of course. So that's £12.99. Now, if you do want to quilt, we have waddings for you too, which are over here. I'm bringing you with me as well, because we haven't had a chat for a while. You could use the borders without the print as well. Hi, Anne. A poppy fabric storage gift box with a built-in pincushion. Alan's full of ideas. Sunday Speed Sewing, that's a good name. Sunday Speed Sewing with Debbie. Now then, we have different types of wadding for you. So we're going to start off with the wool one, which is this one. It is a washable. So a wool wadding is perfect if you're making a quilt, because it's breathable, but it's great insulation as well. So it's one of those really, really warm waddings, but it's not very heavy. It's a lightweight wadding. And like with wool clothing, it's the tiny fibres in the wool that trap the air, and it's almost one of those that affects, it works with your body temperature. If you're going to sleep underneath this, it'll keep you cool in summer and warmer in the winter. That's one of the benefits of working with wool. And again, all natural wool. Can be quilted up to 4 inches apart, which is about that much. So you're going to be able to do some quite loose quilting if you wanted to. And it's all been bonded with resin as well. And you can wash this, of course, too. By hand, I'd say, if you're going to wash this. 120 inches square. So you've got a really large piece there. For your £64.99. And of course you don't have to make something really large because you've got really large wadding. You can cut it down and you can join it together if you've got smaller pieces left over as well, so you can make the most of every square inch of that. So that's great value. And it's Hobbs, which is, when we talk about big brand names, Hobbs is one of the biggest as far as wadding is concerned, so you know if you see that name then you've got some really lovely quality wadding as well. So I would use this if I was making a quilt, if I was making something that I'm going to touch, that I'm going to sleep under, that I'm going to put on a bed, definitely. But we've also got some, we've got cotton wadding on the website, we've got polycotton wadding on the website, so those are a little bit more affordable. And those are great again if you're making something that you're going to sit under or sleep under, because you have the softness, but the polyester there will keep its shape as well. If you're making a wall hanging, then maybe polyester is the way to go. So again, this is more affordable than the natural fibres. It's still Hobbs, premium polyester, but this is only £21.99. Still fine if you wanted to sleep underneath this, and these kind of waddings are great for children's quilts or cot quilts, because obviously look at recommendations there for you making this for a cot quilt, but it's easy to wash with the polyester, and it's not going to shrink because it's polyester. But if you're making a wall hanging or 2 or 10 with this one, then that's going to be perfect for you. I'd save your wool and your cotton poly mixers for something that you're going to sleep under. And I'd use a polyester if I'm going to hang this on the wall, because you get the loft, you get the that really lovely quilted effect when you're quilting through it, but it's only hanging on the wall, so it's more about the way that it looks instead of the way that it feels, if that makes sense. But it is very soft, the Hobbs one. Again, you can quilt this 4 inches apart, and it is completely washable as well. Nice for play mats, actually, these kind of things. They tend to have a higher loft than the natural ones. And and the washes and dries quicker as well, because it's polyester. And we've got the smaller size available for you as well. So with this one, this is your crib size, so it's only £8. That's a good price, isn't it? For £8.99. And crib size is going to be perfect for your wall hangings, but it's great for bag making as well. But only £8.90. That is such a good price. Then we've got your soft and washable. This is so easy. So we've got another big brand name, and this is quite a high loft. It's quite thick, and again polyester. So durable and washable and £4.99able. So very affordable wadding for this one. So again, for wall hangings, that's going to be absolutely perfect for you. But again, if you're making bags, if you're making a quilted cushion cover, this is nice to quilt into, and it'll give your quilting a really luxurious kind of feel. If you're making maybe a sewing machine cover or sewing machine mats, absolutely perfect. I'd stock up on those at £4.99. I think that's a great price. Now you've got £3.95 postage to pay, but that is a postage that you only pay one for the whole of the day. So if you ordered this at $4.99, I'd be thinking, hang on a minute, $3.95 postage, and I'm only spending $4.99. But if you wanted to come back later on and buy a piece of fabric, you're not going to pay any more postage. If you wanted to come back and buy a sewing machine, you're not going to pay any more postage. So that's when it really makes it worthwhile buying the smaller items. Because that's until midnight tonight. That's not forever. But that makes it more worthwhile buying the smaller priced items because you can keep ordering throughout the course of the day. So we add up all of your orders and put them all together just before midnight, so we know what you've ordered, and we amalgamate those postage costs. Oh, Mary says one of her show quilts has 2 layers of wool. It's wonderful. That's a nice one. Well, you can use as many layers as you like, of course. No one's going to look inside there. Oh, no rules. You use whatever wadding you like. I love these fat quarters. I love the fabric on these. I'm going to take them out and show you. They feel quite rustic. It's like, I think they're polycotton, but it feels a little bit like canvas. So really strong and sturdy. Love the prints on these as well. And look, they go together so well. But really nice, sturdy. I wouldn't make a quilt out of these. I think it's a little bit too stiff. But I may piece these together to make a bag out of them. So that's a little bit like ticking. But don't they look kind of rustic and country kitchen and very natural kind of look? If I were you, I'd go with the plain to match. And that could be anything really. You know, the sandy coloured matches. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But I'd just break that up with the plain and make the pattern go that little bit further. And they're only £14.99. So that's what, £3 each? And a fat quarter, if you weren't aware, is that big. So you have half a metre long and then half of the width of your fabric. So that's normally 22 inches wide. I don't know what that is in centimetres. Right, so that's your fat quarter pack. We do have plains for you as well. So I'll pop those away in a second. So we've got a bundle actually. And that goes really well because you've got the same colour reds. So if you wanted to mix and match. So we have, the spot on its own, that's sold out by itself, but it is available in the bundle. So you've got the big spot and the plain, and we've got little stars, look. So half a metre of each of those for £10.99. That's a good price, isn't it? What we like with these prices today. Black fabric, I don't know why, but black fabric is selling out all over the place. There seems to be a huge demand for black fabric. This is half a metre for £3, half a metre for £3.49. That did have a question mark at the end of it, and it's 112 centimetres wide. By the half metre means that if you wanted to order 10 metres, then you can just put 20 units in your basket, and it'll all come joined up. So that's £3.49 for the black. And then this actually goes really well, I think, with your fat quarter pack. Really picks up on the same colour in that and the floral. And again, by the half metre, 112 wide. And again at £3.49. That's a nice flesh colour actually if you're making rag dolls. Those colours are quite difficult to get hold of as well sometimes. How do we find overlocker thread on the website? All I'm finding is Gutermann selection box. Does it not come up if you just put overlocker thread? We'll have a look and get back to you, Dawn. Okay, we're running out of time again, aren't we? Remember, we've got bag making coming up in the next hour with Becky again, so I know there's going to be lots of you following those. And do you want to have a look what's coming up? These are fantastic, and they've got pockets on the inside as well as on the outside, and the drawstring section at the top is all lined so you don't see raw edges around the top, and I think those are the kind of bags that look really complicated to make. You know what Becky's like? She's going to break this down for you and show you how anybody's going to be able to make those. And those are panels coming up in the next hour. So, right, coffee time, I think. I've had 3 go cold so far, so let's make it a 4th. We'll see you again shortly.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street, and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So, number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seams stronger and also help to prevent lint building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find these useful. If you want more hints and tips, then why not go to Sewing Street on channel 74 on Freeview, on Sky 670, and of course we have a YouTube channel where you can catch up on previous demonstrations. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw, and as a professional sewer, I really know how important it is to use a high quality thread. Well, you think about it. You spend a lot of money on your sewing machine, you'll spend a lot of money on fabric, and you'll spend a lot of time sewing. So why let your thread let you down? I know a lot of our designers and customers prefer to use Aurifil thread. Now this is a family business. It was established in 1983 and they're based just outside Milan in Italy. They produce superior quality threads for domestic and professional sewers alike, and they've achieved worldwide success with quilters, sewers, embroiderers and textile artists who all appreciate the versatility and the strength of these threads. It's all made from Egyptian cotton, which is grown just at the side of the River Nile, and Aurifil only use the long staple threads, which gives their thread that strength. Each one of these threads goes through 15 steps before it even gets onto a spool and then comes to you to use in your sewing projects. Now at Sewing Street, we've collaborated with Aurifil and we've brought you 2 collections of threads. So we have the Quilters collection, and these are exclusive to Sewing Street. We've done a lot of research with quilters, and these are the colours that you prefer to use. So we put a whole collection together for you. The second collection is the Essential collection. So this is for the homemakers, for the bag makers, for the craft sewers, for the dressmakers, and again these have been proven to be the most popular colours that you're going to use. So if you want your projects to last longer and your seams to be stronger, invest in some quality thread.
Hi, I'm Becky Alexander Frost, and Sewing Street have asked me to join their team as one of their guest designers. I own a sewing pattern design company. My pattern design company is RJAF Makes. RJAF Makes is my initials. Even though it's Rebecca Jane Alexander Frost, I prefer being known as Becky, and you guys get to call me Becky. I've been sewing just over 28 years thanks to my mother who taught me, and I'm now bringing patterns to Sewing Street. So I look forward to seeing you guys.
Did you know that if you shop with Sewing Street, you're only going to pay one lot of postage all day? That's one payment of £3.95, no matter what you're buying. And you can check out as many times as you like without having to pay another delivery charge. So shop online at www.sewingstreet.com, or you can order via our call centre, which is 0800 001 4433. Right, welcome back again. Now I'm just going to warn you, in the previous bag show where Becky demonstrated earlier on today, we sold out of practically everything before she'd even got to the end of the demonstration. So I'm just going to tell you, I think we're going to do the same thing again. These are beautiful bags and Becky's designed a panel for you. I love panels, I just think they're so easy to cut out. No patterns or anything needed for these. And the bag is just gorgeous. So the handles, this is really clever because the handles go all the way around the actual bag, but then you've got these really nice pockets on the front that all keep their shape because of the interfacing that's been used. All of this we put together in the bundle, and the pockets go all the way around. Look, you've got a nice long strap with a slider so you can adjust that. The piping cord isn't included, so you could use ribbon if you have some. And then we open this up, and on the inside there's more pockets. Look, it's Pocket City, and these are, can you see those? They're kind of elasticated, so there's lots of storage for you for all of your sewing notions, your bits and bobs. Really beautifully finished as well. So this is all lined, so there's no raw edges on the inside, and I just think you've got not just a stylish bag but a really purposeful bag as well. So if and when we can, you're going to go to classes. Oh, imagine just turning, where did you get your bag? Oh, I made it. But for storing things around the home, or do you know, it's Christmas coming up. I am making no apologies for bashing on about it. It's only a couple of months away. If you know somebody who sews, you've got two options. You can give the whole bundle as a kit to them so they can sew it themselves, or why not give this as a gift to somebody that you know that sews. I'm sure they are going to be over the moon. I love them. I think they're so stylish. So in the bundle that we've put together, let me show you the panel. This is huge. All designed by Becky. Really pretty. Oh, look at this, it's massive. There, right, the right side around. There. This is why I love panels. You just cut out the pieces and sew them back together again. The bias binding strip is actually on the bias. As you can see, that's 45 degrees. And you've got all of the bits and bobs that you need there as well. Love those sewing machines. Even the way that the thread goes into little hearts. I think that's such a clever design, Becky. You've done a really good job. So that's your panel. I'll fold that up in a bit because we want to get to the demo, don't we? You don't want to listen to me. You've also got 1 metre of your backing fabric. Now you've got 2 meters of the webbing in this one because it's in 1 meter length. You only need 1.5 meters, but you're getting 2 meters because we haven't got anyone that can cut them in half. So those are included. There's 2 rectangle rings, 2 sliders, your elastic for your inside pockets. You've got your cord toggles or your cord stops. There are your full instructions. And you've got a couple of packets of interfacing that helps the pockets to keep their shape. And to keep the bag in its shape, you've got your Styleville as well, and that's single-sided fusible. So all of that for £49.99. So again, the only thing that you don't have is your piping cord. But you can order that separately if you wish. So that's all of that. And that makes that one. And then you've got the same deal in the pink. So again, let me just open this out. I'll open it out a little bit because they are massive and you get the gist now. So that's your panel with the pink and the blue this time. But it's more interesting to see what you can actually make, isn't it? I love the fact that it stands up alone as well. It's a really nice sturdy bag. I did think when I picked it up, oh, I better take the wadding out of there because sometimes we pack bags out and there's none in it. So it's just a really lovely, sturdy bag. Let me open that up so you can see again on the inside. Even the pockets are printed on the inside, look, with the sewing machines. And you've got these lots and lots of storage areas in there. So I'd have, I don't know, I think I'd keep my rotary cutter and scissors and things like that on the inside. Maybe my iron. My Prim mini iron can go in there as well. And the pockets on the outside, things I need to hand. So my friction pens can go in here, my patterns can go in there, smaller items, haberdashery bits and bobs, maybe my spare sliders and all that kind of thing. White webbing, you're getting 1.5 meters with this one, and again you've got your cord stops, your sliders, your rectangle rings, 2 of your interfacings, 1 meter of the pink lining fabric as well, and your Styleville fusible foam adhesive and your elastic, and of course your instructions as well. But the beauty is Becky has already made a video for us which will stay on YouTube and on Facebook forever. So not only to get instructions, you've got a video tutorial which is always going to be at hand. Now I'm not, oh, you can order the panels on their own, by the way. Let me just show those quickly. So if you want to make it again, you won't have instructions. It'll just be the panel. So just, I say just, look at what you're getting here. But if you wanted to add, if you've got haberdashery already, if you've already got your hardware, if you've already got your fusible foam and interfacing, if you're a bag maker and you've already got all of those bits and bobs and you don't need them in the kit, then you can order this for £31.99. And if you want to, you won't have instructions, but you will be able to look on Facebook and on YouTube for the tutorial that you're just about to see. So that's the pink and blue option. And so that'll make that. If you, I shan't get it all out again. We're calling this one Lime. And that one again, £31.99, just for the panel. Okay, not for all of your extra bits and bobs of fabric and haberdashery that you're going to need to make it. So right, now we're going to go over to Becky. Can I just say, I'm not going to be popping back in the middle of the video or anything like that to give you stock updates. So we're going to go all the way through 45 minutes of demonstration. If you're going to order, please could you order before you sit and watch the video, because if history repeats itself, there won't be anything left by the time we get back. There may be, I don't know, I just don't want you to miss out, because that can be really frustrating. So, okay, I think I'm not having any more coffee. I'm swilling. I've had so much coffee this morning. So I'm just going to sit down and enjoy this video like you are. We'll see you later.
Hiya. So in this hour we will be doing the craft bucket bag. The craft bucket bag is designed by myself, and it's from one of my patterns from my brand, which is RJF Makes. So the craft bucket bag is designed originally around my sewing, but I actually have 3 or 4 now around my apartment, and I've now got one for my arts, one for my craft. I've even got one just for the cleaning and I've got one for my sewing. So you're getting 2 kits today. Here's the sample. So the panels are designed by myself, and the artwork that's on the panel is actually drawn by myself, and the sewing machine is inspired from a sewing machine that my parents bought me when I was 11 years old. It's really ideal. So I had a tester who actually made one, and she uses it now as a horse grooming bag. So it's not just going to be a sewing bag or craft bag, it can be anything. It can, like I use one for cleaning. So the pockets are ideal for carrying large bottles in. So the outside pockets are great. And then it's got a drawstring closure. Then inside is some elasticated pockets as well, so you can add more bottles into it if you wanted to. As you can see, it's quite a roomy bag and it can store quite a lot in it, and obviously it's got all those pockets. In the kits that Sewing Street are providing, you get all the hardware, you get all the interfacing, and you will get all the stabilizers, and I will run through that through the actual tutorial. Now, I'm only doing parts in the tutorial because making a bag I couldn't fit in 1 hour's slot. However, all of my patterns have a sew along video, which all the links are mentioned in the pattern. And then basically, for the bits that you don't see on this demonstration, you can pop over to those videos for free and work out what parts that you are missing with the videos and sew along. So the booklet comes with the kit, and as before, everything's fully instructions, and there is loads of pictures to follow. But also there is fold out pattern templates available as well in the actual pattern as well, and you get this pattern within your kits. So without further ado, let's go over to the overhead camera and have a really close look at the actual pattern and the templates. So let's get into having a look at the pattern. So it comes with your template pullouts. I'm just going to put that to one side. This pattern is very beginner friendly. It also has no zips, because I know a lot of you don't like zips. Most of my patterns are formatted the same, where what you will need is near enough on the front cover. There's a bit of a blur about myself and pattern support and where to find me. The notes section describes certain bits within the pattern which will help you in the long run. Also, there is a link to the sew along video, and also you've got the cutting guide. And as you can see, just like all the other patterns that I've brought to Sewing Street, there's loads of pictures, loads of instructions, and this goes on for the whole of the pattern. And basically you'll see the designs of the panels that are available on Sewing Street, which I designed. Just a bit of information about the sewing machine that's on the actual panel. It's actually designed around the sewing machine that my parents bought me when I was 11 years old, and I always thank them every day for my sewing abilities, because they pushed me to grow my sewing abilities by buying me that sewing machine, and I still have that sewing machine today. Okay, so, and the artwork on the actual panel is actually my own artwork as well. So today I'm going to teach you how to make the actual main outer bag, and then I'm going to jump, because we've only got the short time slot. Once I've made the outer bag with the cargo pockets on the outside, I'm going to jump straight into making the actual drawstring closure, because it's slightly a bit of a technique that I've designed myself, and then I will attach that to the bag. So yeah, shall we get started? Now we've had a look of the pattern and the templates, we will get into making the bag.
Okay, so we're going to start off attaching the handles. So the webbing that we got in the kits, I've basically just cut it in half, so I have two half pieces, and they should measure approximately 29 inches long. So we're going to go ahead and get one of our main outer body pieces, which you have cut from your panel. I'm just going to flip over and tell you how I've prepared the fabric. So I've interfaced this fabric with the interfacing that comes within the kit, and also I've cut out the fusible foam. I've cut the foam smaller than the actual panel, so it's free of any foam around the actual seam area, and then I've fused the foam to the actual main body on the wrong side. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get the webbing. I'm going to put it like a U shape, and I'm going to stick round about 7 inches of quilter's tape on the two bottom ends, which are the two short ends. Doesn't have to be approximately 7 inches, but don't go further than the 7 inches. Okay. Okay, so I'm now going to get the main body piece. So I'm going to get a quarters roll, and we're going to measure in from the bottom 4 3/4 inches, and then at the top, once we've measured in at 4 4 3/4 at the bottom, your rule should be on the 3 1/2 mark. So that's 1 2 3 4 3/4, and that's it, yeah. And then that's at the 3 1/2 mark. 1 2 3 1/2. So I'm going to get the tape off the one side first. I'm going to flip this round and stick this to the bottom, and I'm going to match it up against the quarters rule and stick that down. It's only for temporary. And then we're going to repeat the same process on this side, and then I'm going to make sure the U shape isn't twisted, and I'm just going to stick that into place like so. You should have equal a distance inside. So I've got 4 and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7/8. So I've got 4 inches and 7/8. Right, so the reason why I count is I was brought up on centimetres, not inches, and I've only just recently, I would say in the last 5 years, taught myself inches and eighths and 16ths. So this is why I do count. I know John takes the mick out of me, but right, so from this top edge here of the panel, we need to measure down 1 1/4 inches, and I'm just going to pop a mark just either side of that webbing. So I haven't drawn a straight line across, I just don't want the mark really to be seen afterwards. I'm going to do the same with this one. Now you probably won't see that on the actual camera, but you can get the gist of it. I'm just going to pop some Wonder Clips just on the top edge to stop this moving around. So the next thing you're going to do is take this to your sewing machine. Keep memorising where those 2 marks are on either side. You're going to top stitch on the webbing 1/8 of an inch away to where that first mark is, then sew across, and then top stitch down on the opposite side 1/8 of an inch away from this edge, and you're going to repeat the same process on this webbing strap. Right, so I'm just going to sew where I told you to sew. I'm using a stitch length number 3 on my sewing machine, and in my sewing machine I've got Gutermann thread, sew all thread, and I've just kept a size 16 needle in. So I'm just going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from the edge up to that first mark. It's vital you stop at that first mark, and then I'm going to lift up my presser foot and sew across over. Now I know that's in place, I'm just going to take my clip out, and then I'm just going to pivot round and sew down the other side. I'm not reversing my stitches at all, you don't need to, because we'll be locking the stitches within the seams. I'm just going to repeat the same process for the other side of the webbing. So any finished bags that you make, why don't you actually pop them into the group, the Sewing Street Fans group on Facebook, and tag me, because I'd love to see your makes. My inspiring thing is to teach people, and I love when new bag makers hit the scene. Right, so I'm now going to hit the same process for the other panel and the other webbing strap. So then I've got 2 two body pieces made up. Right, so the outer slip pockets, you should have 2 outer main fabric pieces, which is on your panel, and you should have cut 2 lining pieces, and each piece is actually interfaced, just to give you that robust, because you're going to stuff those pockets on the outside with a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to take 1 lining piece and 1 main outer piece. Let's put those 2 pieces to one side. Then we're going to pop these right sides together, and we are going to clip along the top edge, which is the shortest shortest longest edge out of the 2 long edges. And then I'm just going to go to my sewing machine, sew 3/8 of an inch away from the edge, and I'm just going to use a standard stitch length of a 2.4. Right, so I've now sewn across the top. I'm just going to pop this so it's right side facing out, and I'm just going to go to my iron and give this a really good press. You don't want to see the lining, so I'm just going to finger press it for now to show you what it will look like. Okay, so that's what it will look like, but you need to give it a good steam press. And then I'm going to go 1 step further, go back to my sewing machine, and then top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from that folded edge, and I'm going to use a stitch length number 3. Right, so I've now sewn across, top stitched across the top edge of the fold. I'm now going to show you how to make the actual finished pocket on the outer panel piece. So if I just pop that to one side. First of all, you need to get your one of your outer panel pieces and find the centre top and the centre bottom. So I just fold that in half, matching up the 2 sides. Pull that a bit because it will tend to crease, and I just basically cut into the seam allowance, which is 3/8 of an inch. And I'll do that on top and the bottom. Okay, you will get creases. You can just quickly pop over to your iron and give that a good press. Then we're going to get the outer slip pocket, fold that in half, match up the 2 long sides and give this a really good finger press, or you can go to your ironer if you can't put enough pressure on. Okay, so just to help me with identifying the top and the bottom of this panel, I'm just going to pop some pins in. Okay, so I'm going to pop this so it's lining side facing down to the right side of the actual main outer panel, and what I'm doing is lining up that centre crease that I made to the centre top and the centre bottom. I'm just going to move that pin and pop that in the top of the slip pocket, and just do the same down the bottom. Right, so I'm just going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to remove this pin and basically top stitch all the way down here, but when I first start off I'm going to reverse my stitches a few times. So for instance, when we use the pockets it doesn't take much strain. I did this one 2 times at the top of this one. So on my sewing machine I'm going to use a stitch length number 3. And for this you will probably need a walking foot on your actual sewing machine. So I'm just going where that top of the crease is of that slip pocket. And I'm just going to reverse 2 times, go forward a few stitches, back a few stitches, and just do it 1 more time. Then you're on the safe side that it won't actually get
damaged with the amount of stuff that you fill in those bag pockets. So I'm just going all the way down to the bottom. I'm not reversing my stitch. While I'm here, I'm going to bring the side panel to meet this side panel here, and I'm just going to stitch down. So you should be left with like a U shape, and I'm going to do it the same on this one. And I'm going to stitch that within the seam allowance. As we're only temporary doing this, I'm just going to knock my stitch length up to a number 5. Okay, that's one side done. And I'm just going to repeat the same process. Bring this over. Now you might want to pin. I don't always pin or clip, as long as it all matches up. Right, so you should have 2 U shapes. Now we're going to do the pleats. So I'd just like to flatten it out to start off with. So I'm going to work from the centre line here to start off with. And I'm going to measure one side of it first. I'm going to put my quilter's rule down. And I'm going to measure 1.5 inches from that centre line. I'm going to bring the pocket over. And I'm going to make the first pleat. Doesn't matter what size pleat it is, and then I'm just going to clip that into place. And then from that pleated edge, I'm going to measure 3 or 4 inches this way. I'm going to approximately go about 4 inches. That's about there. And then pleat, push down that pleat so it forms that nice slip pocket, and clip that into place. I'm going to repeat the same process on this side. Okay. I tend to try and keep equal distance either side, and then I'm just going to push that down, give it a good finger press, and then I'm just going to go back to my sewing machine and sew across here using the same standard basting stitch, which is my number 5 on my sewing machine stitch length, and I'm just going to sew 1/4 inch away. Right, so I'm just going to base stitch along the actual bottom edge just to hold those pleats into place. And like I said, I'm using a stitch length number 5, and I'm stitching around about 1/4 inch away from the edge. Ooh, I was lucky. I ran out of bobbin thread. I'm always doing that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to redo that bit at the bottom. Right, so I'm going to carry on sewing the last bit. Always happens. And now it's complete. Right, so now I've finished doing the outer slip pockets. I'm just going to pop these 2 panels to one side, and we're going to move over to the rectangle tabs. So in the kits you get 30mm rectangle rings. Now in the pattern I do say you need 25mm rectangle rings, but I'm just going to show you how to prep your tabs a bit different to what it says in the actual instructions.
So rather than pressing the two long sides right into the centre on the wrong side, you're going to press them in by 1/4 of an inch inside to the wrong side. So you're about 1/4 of an inch away from the actual centre. So once you've done that, you're going to feed the tab onto the rectangle ring, and we're just going to pop a clip at the bottom. And then you're just going to go to your sewing machine, stitch 1/8 of an inch up as far as you can go, then across, and then back down again. And you're going to do that for both tabs. Right, so I've now sewn those. I've gone up as far as my presser foot would let me, and I've sewn, and I've just done both of those. I'm going to pop these to one side, and then we're going to move on to assemble the bag, outer bag. So we're going to get the two outer panel pieces, pop those right sides together. The key areas to match up is where the two slip pockets are, and the bottom. So I'm going to first clip that one, and then I'm just going to clip the top. And then just carry on clipping all the way down. Then I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. So I'm going to match up the two slip pockets. So the two edges, as you can see, the two slip pocket edges meet. And just run a clip on that area. Right, so I'm now going to go to my sewing machine. Just squash that down a bit. I'm now going to go to my sewing machine and stitch down these two long sides, these two short sides, using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, plus I'm going to use a stitch length 2.4. Right, so I've now sewn down those two edges. What I'm going to do is just flatten out the seams as much as I can, so I'm going to just open them up and give them a really good finger press, especially on the top and the bottom area. So I'm just going to quickly do that. We're just going to pop that to one side. We're going to get the outer base piece. So the outer base piece is treated like the main outer panels, where I've interfaced it and then I've cut foam out and trimmed it back so it's not in the seam allowance. And what I'm going to do is just fold this in half. And just snip into the seam allowance area to find the centre halves of the two long sides. And then I'm going to repeat the same process, but we're going to find the centre halves of the two short sides. Okay. Now we're going to pop this bag so it's the bottom edge showing up, and just pulling the handles inside. This way you're going to need a lot of quilters clips, some wonder clips. So the two long edges of the actual base are going to match the two long sides, and then where you've sewn the two sides together is going to match up to where the two short sides are. So I'm just going to find the centre of the outer and clip this into place. So first of all you're going to clip the quarters first. So I've just done that half. Now I'm just going to do this half. Then I'm going to pull this out, flatten this seam here and match it up to this quarter. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. And then I'm just going to, you'll naturally see that the base is just naturally falling into place. So you're just going to clip it all the way around. As you can see, it takes a lot of clips, and when I've gone around the corners with the clips, I really have clipped quite a lot. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew from this side up, and what I tend to do is squash this down as I go along, and then when I get to the corner I just readjust my foot and squash this down again and just keep stitching all the way around. So I'm just going to go to my sewing machine, use a stitch length number 2.4, and then I'm using a 3/8 of a seam allowance. So you should technically go a little bit when you're sewing your lines, should end up being a bit onto the foam so it holds the foam into place.
So this is where you're going to have to take your time, just take it slowly. You're going to have to smoosh the bag over like I'm going to show you now. It will bounce back, so don't worry, the foam will make it bounce back into shape. So I always start off with one of the long straight edges and pop that in underneath my presser foot. I'm just doing a couple of inches at a time. So I'm reversing my stitch at the start, and I'm just taking it nice and slow. Now if you've got a flatbed, an extension table, it might be advisable you putting that on. I just haven't got the room for it on my one. So I'm just coming to the corner, so I'm going to have to keep lifting up my presser foot as I go around that corner. Just squashing it down so it's out of the way. I'm near enough around that first corner, so it should be fine. There you go, I'm on the short straight now. And now I'm just going to reposition this bag so it smooshes down. And remember, when you come to the end, just reverse your stitch at the start, at the end. And then just for making sure it's all worked out, you're going to turn it right side facing out. Don't worry if there's creases on it, we're going to give it a really good press in a minute. Loose piece of thread there. Right, so yeah. So we're going to move on to the next step, and I'm going to do that now. We're going to get the 2D rings, and where your side edges join up of the main outer panel, we're just going to pop that pointing down, and we're just going to base stitch those into place. So if you've got a cylinder where you can take the sleeve off of your machine, it might be ideal. I've got a flatbed because I'm using the Elna 720 Pro. It's a flatbed, so I'm just going to have to smoosh the bag around a bit. And I'm just going to base stitch that into place. Then I'm just going to repeat it for the other side. Right, so your D-ring tabs will be into place. So I'm not going to show you the next steps in the tutorial. However, it's just basically what we've been doing, but this time adding the elastic into the elastic pockets, and that's making the lining inside. I do want to cover within this hour how to actually do the top closure part of the bag. So that's an important step, so I'll rather cover that. Right, so I've done the lining and dropped the lining inside, and I've just basically base stitched that all the way around. To follow this part of the instructions, follow the instructions within the pattern, and there is the video which is in the pattern. The link is in the pattern for that. So we're going to move on to the top drawstring closure part. So you've got your large piece and your two small pieces. Now these are not interfaced. This is vital, you do not interface them because it would be too stiff when you pull the drawstring close. So we're going to lay this is multi-directional off the panel, so there is no right way of putting this up or down. So you're going to lay the larger piece on your work surface right side facing up, and then you're going to get your two small pieces right side facing down, matching up these two sides. Then you're just going to sew down these two sides using 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now I've sewn those 3 pieces together, the next step you need to do is open up these seams and give it a really good press. It's vital that you actually do that. So the next thing you need to do is fold it in half, right side facing out, and you're going to give this a good press to identify where the centre is. So the next thing we need to do is create the closure part where the drawstring comes out, and if we left it as a raw edge the fabric would fray. So what we need to do is where the first centre crease is on the one side, we need to measure up 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to mark that. So we're going to measure up 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to draw a long line, and I'll say it's just over an inch line. Then below that centre crease we need to measure 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to draw another long line. I'm going to just repeat the same process for this side. Right, so the next thing we need to do is where these two marks are, the top above the actual centre crease and below the centre crease, we need to fold this in by 1/4 of an inch, and we're only just doing that section, so we're only pressing that section. I'm just going to give it a good finger press. Now I've done that, I need to roll it once more, just in between that section, and then I'm just going to put 2 pins in between those 2 markings. And then I'm just going to repeat the same process on this other side here. Right, so you're going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to sew only between these 2 markings, and you're just going to top stitch this part here and this part here, and you're going to use a stitch length 2.4 on your sewing machine.
Okay, so that's perfectly sewn, and like I've just said, you only sew between those 2 marks, and you obviously do that for both sides. What we need to do is have it right side facing up, and we're just going to pull out the edges, but you'll notice that it have like a V shape. That's fine. We're going to match up the top part, and we've basically popped that right sides together, so we've folded it now. And we're just going to pin I'm just really pulling out that area where it isn't sewn. I'm just going to pop a pin there as well. And do the same for this half as well. So pop a pin at the top. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is sew from this marking here 3/8 of an inch all the way down, making sure you reverse your stitch a few times where that marking is, and then we're going to repeat the same process from this side, from this marking, and then sewing all the way to the other raw edge. We are not sewing anywhere near where we have sewn and folded over. Okay, so I've gone one step further and opened up those 2 seams, and as you can see there's like a hole now. That's where the drawstring will come out. So the next thing we need to do is bring this here to meet that part, and then I'm going to flip it over and just make sure I pull it, and then it's just going to roll so it's half folded. So basically you should have right side of fabric inside and right side of fabric outside. What I'm just going to quickly do is give this a really good press, especially around this opening area. Okay, I've given this a really good press, and then what we're going to do is go to our sewing machine, using the guide on your sewing machine foot plate, your feed dog plate. You're going to sew, reversing your stitch here, and you're going to sew all the way around using from the edge half an inch. So you're going to sew all the way around from the edge half an inch, and then making sure you reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and you're going to start on one of these parts here. Okay, so we've got the bag and you're looking into the bag. Right, so you need to work out which you want as your front panel out of the 2 sides. I quite like this one because it's a bit more equal, and you can't see that this is not equal, it's slightly off. So I'm going to use this as my front. So the side that you're using as your front is where the opening is of the actual drawstring. So we're going to pop the opening part into the centre of that panel, and we're just going to clip that into place. Then I'm just going to pop the rest in. So the 2 side seams should match up to the side seams here. So I'm just going to pop that. Now you've got to move around the inner pockets. Hence why wonder clips are going to be your best friends. Okay, and now you're just going to pull the bag so it naturally meets, and you're just going to keep clipping all the way around. Just pull that up a bit, that's it. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is go to your sewing machine and base stitch all the way around. Now if you've got a sleeve arm, my advice is to take it off and obviously just keep pulling down the actual closure part. If you're like me, you can't sew from this side, you have to sew from this side. So you just keep putting it on the flatbed and keep rolling it around and basically you'll sew. But I think once you've sewn that on, you will then attach your bias binding and then you will make your strap, your crossbody strap, and then your bag's complete. Apart from you'll need to thread the piping cord through the channel that we've just generated there and add your cord toggle. But all that is mentioned in the main tutorial over on the video that's in the link of the pattern.
Wow, I've fitted quite a lot into that tutorial. But there is still some parts that are going to be missing in the tutorial, so there is a link in the pattern which you can go to have a look on a video of the full tutorial, and it's basically free, so pop over and yeah, and say hi as well. Thanks Sewing Street for having me on the channel, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.
And again, thank you very much, Becky, for another amazing demonstration. See, it's not as difficult as you thought it would be, is it? Let me take you through the two options and everything that you're getting in the bundles. And just to explain, sorry about Facebook, it's a Facebook problem, it's not us. But we will be uploading all of these videos onto YouTube later. So if you do want to have a look at Becky's demonstrations all over again, in about 20 minutes time, you'll be able to see that on YouTube. So this is the actual bag that Becky made, and I love the fabric and the prints, and she was saying, didn't she, that the sewing machine was actually one that her parents bought her that she learnt to sew on. I wonder if she's still got it, if that was from memory. But gorgeous sketches. We've got little scissors on the inside here, the spots, all of these on the panels. So all you need to do, as Becky said, you just cut them out and sew them back together again. So for your £49.99, this is said panel. It's huge, and I love panels. I think it's such a good idea. I didn't have these in my day when I was learning how to sew, but I think it's just such a really clever idea. So there's no tracing out patterns or anything. You're simply going to cut out the shapes and sew them back together again. So you can see the pockets there, the bias binding, the top section with the drawstring, with the little scissors on it. Really pretty designs. So we're calling this one Lime. So it's I would say apple and turquoise myself, but we're calling it Lime. That's the actual panel. That's available on its own. I'll give you the details later. I'll do that in a sec. Oh right, the bundle's about to sell out. So you get everything that you need. You've got your plain fabric. You've got 2 meters of webbing in this colour option. You have your style fill. You've got your fusible interfacing and your elastic. Has it gone yet? And you've got it sold out. You're going to get all of this. However, you can go for the panel on its own. So the bundle's sold out. If you just want the panel, you can just go for the panel. You will need to buy, if you don't have any already, 1.5 meters of webbing, a rectangular slider. You will also need cord toggles. I suppose you could tie that in a bow if you didn't want to go for the cord toggles. You're going to need a couple of rectangle rings, and you will need your interfacing and your fusible foam adhesive. All right, and the Facebook, apparently they've been in touch and apologised and said that they're going to be back any second now. But they will be, oh, we're back apparently. Thank you, Facebook. And don't do that again. But the whole demonstration from Becky will be on YouTube, so that may be the better option if you're following step by steps everything that she made. And of course that's going to be there forever as well. So that'll be going up very shortly after we finish the live show. So that's that one. Oh, we're back. Right, so that's that one. And then we have the pink option, which is this one. I just think they're so useful. And Becky was saying about using one for cleaning, and a friend of hers has used one to keep her horse stuff in. Tackle, I don't know, can't remember what she called it. Horsey type stuff. Her equestrian notions, I'm going to call them. And again, we've got lots of pockets on the outside and on the inside as well. Love the way that the straps go inside the pockets. I think that's a very clever idea. And you've got webbing for the straps, so they're nice and strong as well. And on the inside, the only thing you don't get in the bundles is that cord. But we've got the elasticated pockets in there as well. So you've got lots of room to store stuff. I like to be organised. I don't know about you. I like to know where everything is. And I do think it's such a good idea if you can go for more than one. So maybe go for one bundle and then have an extra panel. So you've got matching. One of each would be nice, wouldn't they? You only pay that 1p and p of £3.95 all day, remember. But really handy. I love lots and lots of pockets to keep me organised. So again, you've got the panel, which is huge. And so it's the same as the lime one, but pink and turquoise. And it's available on its own. So if you don't want all of the other bits and bobs, if you've already got hardware and waddings and paddings and interfacings, then just go for the panel on its own. And that is £31.99. Very fresh, bright, happy colours, aren't they? Really cheery. So that's the panel. And again, if you wanted to go for the bundle, we are including in this one 1.5 metres of white webbing. You have your 2 sliders. I think you only need 1 slider. You've got a spare slider. And your rectangle rings. So those are your sliders, that's what makes your handle, your strap adjustable. Those are your rectangle rings. You've got your cord stops, 2 of those, you only need 1. 1.5 metres of white webbing. The elastic to go around the pockets on the inside. Your fusible foam interfacing to give the bag that little bit of sturdiness. And then you have your iron-on interfacing for the pockets and the rest of the bag. And 2 packets of those, you're getting the 2. The reason being, you've got a nice bit of sturdiness for the actual pockets, so they stand up alone without flopping. If you're going to use the foam, it'd be too much, it'd be too firm, you wouldn't be able to sew with it very well. So that's very clever thinking. And of course, in the bundle, you've got 1 metre of the pink fabric and your full instructions on how to make these as well. Oh, I spy a book cover and a sewing machine cover and a cushion. Watch this space. So those are your instructions, and then all of that for £49.99. Right, we're coming up towards the end of our live bit today. We're still here for the next hour with a recorded programme, but shall we have a look at what's coming up tomorrow? You have Rebecca Reed presenting tomorrow, and at 8 o'clock in the morning we have pre-cuts and bundles. I'm just looking at it at the moment. Oh, I've got some nice fabric. Oh, I love the one with the hearts on. Oh, and we've got some 10-inch squares. There are panels. Oh, I love those autumnal colours. Oh, yeah, the layer. I like those black. I like the black and brown. Oh, brand new Aurifil. Oh, and look at the Kate Fassett, the Free Spirit Fat Quarter. Oh, those are nice. Right, that's all coming up tomorrow. I know you can't see any of that, but that's a very nice show. Beginner sewing. Catherine Wright's going to be here showing you how to create some oven mitts. So that's at 9 o'clock. We're getting ready for it. You know, you needle it. Oh dear. Get thready. At 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 11 o'clock, it's the Quilt As You Go Alexandra bag, and Catherine's going to be back to demonstrate. And we've got sewing machines and threads. That's a repeat of, I think that was this morning's show, wasn't it? The felting machine. So that might change because we haven't got any left. But at the moment, that's what we're saying for 12 o'clock tomorrow. We could do a whole show just showing you how to do it, but without actually selling you anything. Oh, we've had some lovely pictures sent in today. Thank you so much for these. Oh, I recognise that bag. That's from my Occasion Bags, Build-A-Bag book. Always have a problem with the base. Is there a technique to this?
No. That's when we do another show, Ellen, then I'll take you through the techniques for that. It's not actually too difficult. That is beautiful fabric. And here's this one. This is Sheppy. That's a lovely one as well. A bag made, I use maiding and embellishing. Oh, wow, that's using the felting machine. Made with scraps left from another project. Have a lovely day. Thank you very much, Sheppy. And we will all stay safe as well. All right, well, I'm going to see you again bright and early next Sunday morning. So enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's not over just yet. I'll see you again on Sunday, bright and early at 8 o'clock. Bye-bye.